And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined all the way from Canada, 212 Pro, Zane Watson. Yay! Zane, how are you, mate? I spoke to you for ages.
I know, a long time. Where I saw you at the Olympia.
Yeah, it was last year's Olympia, yeah. Yeah, so you in a vest then, mate? Have you just been training, or?
Not today, no. I got into work late today. I'm going to have a workout in about an hour.
Okay. So whereabouts are you from in Canada then?
I'm in Ontario, just outside of Toronto. Super. We've had a crazy heat wave here last week.
Okay.
It's humid 40 degrees.
So obviously, I mean, in the UK, we're starting to kind of come out of the lockdowns are starting to decrease. You know, gyms are going to open back up. How have you coped in the last few months with training and being a bodybuilder? How have you been affected?
I own a gym, which I've closed to the public, but you know, I've had the privilege of being able to work out on my same routine every day. I do use one or two other gyms regularly. But I've stopped using them through this process. So, you know, I missed a little bit of equipment, but other than that, I'm definitely blessed because I haven't really skipped a beat in my training. I'd probably be in a mental hospital.
Yeah. So, I mean, how many days a week are you training at the moment then?
Pardon?
How many days a week are you training at the moment?
My training, I've decreased. Maybe like 3 on low weeks and 4 on high.
Oh, really?
Not too much more.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I'm trying to think the last time I saw you on stage. I remember seeing you on stage at the Olympia. It was probably a couple of years ago now. But tell us about your contest history in the last couple of years, because I feel like you've gone off the radar a little bit, and I just want to know why.
Last year I had a great year. I thought it was probably my best year in terms of competing. My body was just responding well. I did 4 shows. I started with Chicago, which was probably my worst show. I came in at 5th, I think, in Chicago. Yeah, I was 5th. And then I did, and then I went to Vancouver.
Yep.
I won Vancouver. Qualified me for the Olympia. And then I decided to just jump into Tampa as well. Placing 2nd in Tampa, pretty stacked up lineup. Everyone's trying to compete, get their qualification for the Olympia and the Tampa show. So that was awesome, good experience. And then the Olympia, I always seem to get stuck at around 12th place. I'm not sure what it is.
I've noticed because I remember, I'm trying to think what Olympia it was. It was maybe 2-3 years ago. And I remember that because I only placed the top 5. And I remember looking at the guys that weren't in the top 5, and you looked the best out of all of them. And I remember thinking, because thing is, like, Kaleem, this guy, right, his condition, I mean, your conditioning, I mean, have you ever been off in a contest?
Off? Definitely.
Oh, really? Which one? Because I don't know about it.
Not in condition? No way. But, you know, because I'm a much bigger 212, you know, I'm 5 foot. I'm 5'8". I'm probably 2-3 inches taller than most of the guys I'm competing with. Yeah. So, you know, that 2-3 inches makes it really hard. I walk around very comfortably at 235, like, you know, so.
Oh, you mean in condition?
Like shredded to the bone, I'm between 221 and 227.
What?
Yeah, pounds, and I have to be 212. So that extra 14 pounds really sucks me off. Whereas last year was a little bit different. That's why I did 4 shows. Usually I'm a 1-show wonder. I'll do 1 show, qualify to the Olympia, because you know it's a real pain in the ass to just step on stage at that weight. But last year my body was responding well. I was coming into the shows about a week out at around 214, 216. So that's nothing, you know. I can have a 2-pound shit and make that weight.
Yeah. No, because I had it in my head that you were 5'7", and I remember saying to my producer, Ronald, said, you know, he is probably the tallest 212 I've ever seen. So it begs the question: if you're actually 5'8" and you're kind of in condition, did you say 230?
I'm in really good condition, just under, like I'll start my contest prep at 225, probably in the shape I am now, and my weight won't change, and I'll grow into the show the whole time.
Yeah.
Then I'm a week out, no body fat, same weight.
Have you ever had it where you haven't made weight, or has it always been you always know exactly that you're confident that you know you're always going to make it?
Well, I've definitely been biting my nails, but I've always made weight. New York was the hardest. So last year was 19. Yeah, so 2018 New York Pro was the hardest because you actually weigh in at 9 in the morning and you're on stage by 11. So you have 2 hours to bounce back. It's not easy.
I remember somebody saying that you should go for classic, but I think you're going to be way too heavy for classic, aren't you? What would your body weight be allowed at the cutoff be allowed for you?
Yes, people say that all the time to me. It's 185.
Yeah. Oh, you'd have to chop a leg off.
Yeah, like I can't make it into the 212 class. Never mind it. Realistically, I probably should take a great off season and do open, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think if I jump into the open class, I got a 5-year run before I'm being competitive in the division. So,
do you think? I mean, I don't know, because I see there's a lot of bodybuilders now. Like George Peterson switched from classic to 212, and I think he's actually going to struggle to make 212. And the guys like yourself, I mean, 5'8". I mean, Dexter's 5'6". I mean.
Yeah.
I think you should take it as a compliment that people are saying you should do classic, because you've got a very classic shape, which is good to have aesthetics in a 212 or an open class, and have that kind of size, and you'll be right on the limit. I think that's definitely a compliment.
I would love to do classic. Let's just get the IFBB to raise that weight.
Yeah. IFBB, could you please raise the classic rate by 30 pounds, please? Because Zane wants to do it, because he's got classic shape and he's a very classic poser. So I think you take over, mate.
They made that class. I really like watching it, but I always think people say go to the classic class. Like I don't see why you can't have a classic look in the open class.
Sean Roden, Cedric McMillan.
Well, that's where bodybuilding started. It wasn't called classic.
Yeah.
So open bodybuilding kind of went a different way, but there's a lot of great posers in the open class too. So
yeah, that's true. So what about your next contest plans and what's next for you?
This year kind of has me on eggshells with competing, so I haven't been very motivated to pick a show because I've been watching friends of mine and people around the IFBB train their asses off for these shows, and then all of a sudden it's canceled or they can't do it. I'm in Canada, so I see a couple shows lined up a couple shows are lined up right now in the States. There's a Tampa show. There's which I don't know, Florida seems to be the worst place in the USA virus, but for me to do that show and then try to cross the border, it's like a double negative. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Missy Truscott, the Arnold Fitness champion. She said, I'm sure she said the other day, didn't she, that the Canadian borders are closed. What's going on with that?
Yeah, nothing from USA to Canada.
Oh, what about Canada to USA?
No, both borders are closed.
Oh wow!
Even within Canada, provincial borders are locked down too.
Really?
They're starting to open them. Like some provinces of ours, Quebec and Nova Scotia, are starting to open, but ours is the tightest. Ontario, we have the biggest population.
Yeah, so I mean, Canadian bodybuilding is doing pretty well. I mean, you've got guys like yourself, Joe Seaman. I've run out of names. I'm trying to think. Quinton Area.
Regan Grimes. Austin.
Regan Grimes. Austin. So who? Austin.
Antoine Vaillant.
Antoine Vaillant. Yeah. Calm. There's some really good Canadian bodybuilders at the moment. Do you think it's?
He keeps getting screwed too. Last year he was ready. He tore his bicep. This year he was looking amazing. Then this thing got shut everything down. But he's gonna look great when he steps on stage. I can't wait. And Regan too. Boy, what a physique.
Yeah, and also, I was very sorry to hear about your dad as well. A couple of years, was it last year, I believe?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, I was very sorry to hear that because I knew, that was obviously must have been. How did that? Have you managed to get over that and get through that? Okay.
Yeah, well, last year probably another reason why I did 4 shows. I just kept it
focus. Yeah.
Kept the ball rolling. Kept moving. My father was always my coach. He was always training me every day beside me. So, not to have that. That being said, I did have some people step up to the plate and really help me. So, it was a hard year, but it was really cool too.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes I've seen that when someone has something, a major happen, like trauma goes on in their life, they will just pick shows to kind of just switch off and go into robot mode and have something to focus on and a goal to go after. And they say, sometimes rather than kind of sitting around and kind of thinking about it and dwelling on it, and sort of letting it drag you down a bit. It's I suppose that's probably what he would have wanted as well, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a robot when I'm in contest prep, so
yeah, I'm
focused.
So how old are you now, Zane?
I'm 32.
Oh, he's still young. So he's still really young. So you've got. Yeah. I thought when you were saying about not going to open, I thought, maybe it's because you're 35 plus. But if you're 32 and you're in shape at 230, have you not thought maybe just have 1 year where you just kind of come in at your, with no weight restrictions? I mean, I can't imagine the stress it is to get down to 212. Why not just go open?
It is stressful. So, I have discussed it with my coach, Chris Aceto. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be the plan going forward. I'm just going to train my ass off, get into the shape I need to be, and where I fall, if I can jump into a 212 show without totally suffering like I did last year at the beginning of the year, then no problem. I'll do a 212 show. But if I'm a week out and I'm 15, 20 pounds off, then it's not happening. I'll just because I look perfect. Like if I could step on the stage how I am a week out in the gym. A week out in the gym, like perfect. Like as I'm training, looking at myself, 200, 225, 227 pounds, I'm looking.
Whoa. So you have to get like 14 to 16 pounds off in 1 week. So you're weighing that kind of body weight 1 week out from a 212 show.
Sometimes, yeah. Usually towards the end of the season. Like that's why the Olympia is so hard.
Yeah.
The Olympia, it's like last year I started off great, 214, 216, and then it's like 218 the next show, and then it's like 220, and then by the Olympia, it's like I'm trying to pull from 224, 225. It's hard.
So it kind of begs the question, what's the main reason you do 212? Is it because you think you can do best in it because you're at the upper limit? That's
just where I started, and I thought, I can basically qualify for the Olympia every year if I put my mind to it.
Yeah.
I can win shows in the 212 division, no problem. And then I think if I go to open class, like I said, I think I have a couple of years for sure before I can actually be competitive in that class.
Well, you've got to take that first step, mate. I would honestly, if you're kind of, I was talking to Swiss pro Nicolas Vouliou, and he at the 2018 Olympia, when he did Tampa in 2018, he said he felt like it wasn't even healthy how he was trying to go from 230 to 212, when he was kind of ready at 230, could step on stage. He said it was mentally and physically very, very stressful. So, but what he's done, he took a year off and he took kind of reset and start from scratch again. And now he's done it, and he said the waist is still small, and he says now he kind of feels more comfortable kind of starting to prep at, say, 230 to get down to 212 rather than 240 or 250 to get to 212. He said it's less stress on the body. Do you not maybe feel like doing that, taking that approach?
I've seen what he's done. It's great. He brought his waist in. He fixed his vacuum. Like he put a lot more shape to his physique. Yeah, he looks awesome. For me, I walk around. I've always walked around with that. I've always been healthy, off season, stay in good shape. Yeah. So it's not something where I don't feel I need a reset. It's not. I wouldn't know how to reset.
Okay. So yeah, because I know Nicholas really struggled taking that year off, kind of coming off everything and just kind of taking the body weight right down when he's training, and he said he was having to fight to keep his body weight down, which is kind of like the opposite problem that the open pros have, Yeah,
well, I like to, even my father and a couple of my old school coaches, their mentality is always start your contest prep in really good shape.
Right.
So basically, and naturally, so get off any kind of gear, get in really good shape, and then when you pull the trigger and get into that contest prep, your skin is thin and your muscles just come out of them.
So your body composition changes when you start your prep, because you start all your gear and stuff like that, and your body composition just changes. So your body weight doesn't necessarily, you're not coming down from a high body weight or even a low body weight. It just kind of stays consistent.
I don't even change. Yeah, I might change 2 to 3 pounds. Fat will come off, muscle goes on. It's and it doesn't change very much. I'm so predictable. I could step on the scale and tell you what I weigh within a 0.2 of a pound.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Every morning, yeah. My coach too, Chris Aceto, is really good. He goes, "How much you weigh this morning?" 222. Yep, 222.
And he knows. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. So,
obviously, you're very, very well known for your posing. Was it your dad that helped you with your posing?
Oh yeah, definitely. He taught me everything with posing, for sure. And we always used to watch like old school bodybuilding videos. Show me all his routines.
Yeah. Because he used to compete, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was a national champion in Canada. My mother was a national champion also.
Oh wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, both national Canadian bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And then my father went to the Universe, which I think he placed 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I mean, the two things I always bang on about is condition and posing in the pros today. In fact, I don't know what, because like you hit it harder. Well, Dennis Wolf is retired now. Guys like Cedric was quite a good poser. I think have you seen, personally, I think I've seen a bit of a resurgence in the posing. I feel like there's more effort being made from the pros. What's your feeling?
Oh yeah, people are definitely putting more effort into it. I find it sad, you work so hard.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes I see, they look amazing, and then it's like, boy, what the hell happened? They step on stage and they can't even show it.
Yeah.
I've been in shows before where I know the guy beside me actually should have beat me, and then his posing wrecks him.
Yeah.
Well, and I've even approached them. Hey man,
I'll give you a hand.
You would have beat me in this show. Come on. I'll help you with this.
Yeah.
Because it's sad. Rough Diesel, he's
oh yes,
Terrence Ruffin. I love his posing. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously the aesthetic, the classic type posing. I'd imagine. Yeah. Have you ever had any contact with him, or have you ever have you ever maybe get him in to help you with your posing routines if you need any, to maybe a second eye?
So I was actually going to ask him to go through something with me, and then it never actually happened, because I'm a big fan of his posing. Yeah, he's awesome. Cool. I think he's great. He's put a whole new thing to the posing as well.
Yeah. No, I've definitely seen a bit of resurgence in the posing. I think because they give the best poser award at the Arnold Classic, Jocelyn Artowicz, and then we had Patrick Moore, who's kind of bringing that kind of really exciting posing back. Because I mean, you think back to the '90s. I mean, you would have watched all the tapes, and it's like everyone had a good posing routine. And now it's like But I do feel just certainly in the last couple of years, I think there's a bit of a comeback for it. I think people are. I don't know why. I don't know what do you think it is? Why do you think all of a sudden the pros are starting to put more effort in?
It's definitely came from Arnold, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely, because Arnold made a big, huge deal on it, even in his shows. Like, you get judged on the posing, where a lot of the shows, sadly, you don't. So
yeah.
And in Arnold's show, I think it was worth like 30% or something. I know the year I did it.
Yeah.
So that's and then he was really vocal about it, like bring posing to what it should be, and then everybody noticed that it was it's starting to, it is part of the sport. You know, my posing never stops. You know, when I start my contest prep, I'm posing, I do a 1.5, 2 hour workout, and then I'm posing for 20, 30 minutes.
Do you think it helps with your physique as well?
Oh, it makes you hard as a rock.
Yeah.
I get more of a pump there, your cardio, everything. I won't even start cardio for 8 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, I'll just start posing.
Yeah.
And then even my routines and stuff, I'll work on those for 8 weeks. If I don't have, I want my routine done and ready to practice at least 4 to 6 weeks out.
I find it very strange when the guys can't even hit their compulsories properly. I think that, I mean, to be honest, I mean, how long would it take you to show a competitor how to hit their what, half an hour, do you think? And they, you know, they get on stage and then they can't hit their compulsories properly, and I just find it baffling.
A lot of it's like bad habits. I think it's harder to break someone out of a bad habit than, like, if for me myself, I was taught from day one how to pose properly, so I didn't really create a bad habit out of it. Where, you know, people are doing it on their own. It's not really their fault. They're just, you know, watching videos of somebody who's probably not posing the best either, and you know, then they create a little bit of a bad habit, and it's hard to break. Yeah.
Oh, so you're going to, so even if you don't compete this year, are you going to be at the Olympia this year?
When is it? December?
December the 17th to the 20th. Planet Hollywood.
I just don't even believe what shows are going to happen and what shows aren't going to happen.
Yeah. I think, do you think there's I think Tampa's definitely going to go ahead. Tampa's definitely going to go ahead in some form. Even if they have restrictions, I think they're definitely going to be competitors on stage in Tampa. And
is there a New York show still or no? That was
yeah, I know they keep changing the date. It was September, October, I think. The New York Pro. I think the shows will go ahead, maybe just in a slightly different format. That's my feeling.
I don't know how it is in the States. You know, I only know what's on the news and talking to my friends, and they're just like, oh, nothing's going on here. So, but I can't go to the States. So
yeah,
I can actually fly into the States, but then, you know, you're going to get some kind of quarantina restrictions.
Yeah. Okay, then. So, if the Olympia does go ahead, I mean, well, it will, but who do you think's got the best chance of winning this year?
I have no idea who's going to do it. I don't know if Roden's going to be in it. Phil Heath, I have no idea. For the 212 class, Kamal, I've seen what he's doing with Chris. He looks awesome, man. He's in great shape right now. He looks like he's put on some muscle on his legs, his shoulders. He looks wicked. So
yeah, he rang me because I've been friends with Kamal like 20 years. He rang me 3 days ago, wasn't it? 3 days ago, and he was he sent me some pictures, and I was like, mate, I says, you've not missed a beat with your, because obviously he has his own gym so he can train. And I think with the lockdown stuff, I think maybe there was more time to focus on bodybuilding because you're either at home or you're literally at the gym. There's nothing else you can do, and then obviously spent time with his family. But yeah, we're going down to see him on Thursday. Actually going to go see him.
You're going to go there?
Yeah, well, he lives like 2.5 hours away from me, so in the UK. So it's so yeah. So I'm excited to see, because this is his last year and he wants to go out on. He wants to go out. What about guys like Sean Clarida and Derrick Lunsford? Do you think they could take him out?
Love Sean Clarida. God damn it, he works hard.
Yeah.
He works hard, man. I remember, you know, I've been competing with him for years, and I thought, this guy is so little, he can fit in my pocket. But
yeah.
But he just, you know, he is the definition of somebody who should be in the 212 class that can just constantly grow and grow and grow, and he has, and he is just, you know, he looks good what he's put on, and you know, his posing's good, and he comes in good shape, and he just works so damn hard. I wouldn't count him out ever. You know, now, especially after last year, placing third there, and a well-deserved third. I think Yeah, I think he could give Kamal a run for sure. He looks great.
He's like a 212 version of Ronnie Coleman that he just every single year he just gets better and better. Because his placings are like 16th, 13th, 9th, 7th, 3rd. I mean, every single year, if you see, because he always posts his progress pictures on his social media. And literally every single year, you can absolutely guarantee. The only thing is I hope he keeps that midsection nice and tight because he's starting to stack a lot of muscle. He's like a frontal bicep reminds me of like a cross between like Flex Wheeler and Ronnie Coleman, the way everything jumps off the bone, the muscle bellies. And he's a little freak, kitty. I mean, actually, I was sat next to Dennis James and George Farah. George Farah had Kamal winning, but I don't want to get this wrong, but I think Dennis James said I've got Clarida in second, because he was like, obviously, because the top three was so clear. There was such a strong top three. But who else do you think's coming up in the 212? Who do you think's really good?
Well, I'd say Derrick, but he's not coming up. I think he's already there. Personally, I don't think anybody has a better physique than him. I just think he was a little bit off of the Olympia, or nobody would ever be able to touch him. I don't think anybody could beat him. His back is perfect. His legs are big. His shoulders are big. There's nothing he doesn't have. His waist is tiny. He's young. I don't think anybody could beat him if he's perfect. I
think he's another guy that, like yourself, he's ready. He's probably like in really, really good contest condition. Like he could walk on stage at 225.
That's what I don't know, because I've never talked to him close to a show, so I don't know where his weight sits. But like personally, I think he could go and do an open show and do. He could probably win one if landed right.
I remember on the forum, and I got completely shot down in flames because I put it out there. I just wanted to see the reaction to say, what if they change it to 222? And Jose Raymond came on and he says, no, Giles, if anything, they should reduce it back down to 202, which it was originally. But there wasn't a single person who liked that idea. But if they did, imagine guys like yourself, Flex Lewis, Derek Lunsford, Nicholas Vouliou, the guys who really struggle to make 212. I mean, that would give you so much more options, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I thought. Sorry, my phone is ringing.
It's all right.
I've thought of that too, and it would be nice to have a little heavier weight class, but and then I think that 212 class is really made for guys like Sean Clarida who don't need to lose weight to come into that 212 class, and it's perfect for. What are those guys supposed to do? It's perfect for them. So, I think if you do move it heavier, then you're just adding another class.
Yeah. I think the original intention was because, say at the Nationals where every weight class got a pro card, the bantamweights, lightweights, middleweights, and light heavyweights were getting pro cards, but then very few of them were ever actually going on to do much in the open. Then, of course, obviously 90 kilos, the light heavyweight class, that's 198 pounds. So they added 4 pounds and made the 202 class. Then they changed it to 212. But I really want to see you in an open show, mate. I really do. I want to see. I'm interested. It's like with Flex Lewis doing the open now. I'm interested to see the best version of their physique, what it looks like with no weight restriction. Because if you're ready at 225, are you necessarily bringing your best physique at 212?
No, never.
You're not, are you? You're not. I mean, you're going to be dry as a bone, but if you're dry as a bone, 15 pounds heavier, then we're not getting to see the best Zane Watson.
It's usually like, even if I do the same thing twice, if I nailed the show, like I think I nailed Vancouver, and that was probably one. And weirdly, I nailed New York, which was the hardest show for me to make. Why? I don't know why, but
body weight. You mean making weight?
I don't even mean making weight. I just mean I'm always weighing at 211.9.
Wow, that's nerve-wracking.
Butt naked, somebody holding up a towel. It's not. I'm always that way, but I never am off it. But I mean, how you come into that weight, whether it's you pulling water or food or how you come into that weight. I've really only nailed it twice, I think, and it was for Vancouver and in New York. And New York is a mystery to me because I have to make weight. Usually I make weight and I have 24 hours to get back up to 218 pounds. But when you put that fluid back in, it doesn't always go where you want it to. It's necessarily going into your muscles. Usually it goes in between first, and then 2 days after, I'm like a 225 pound shredded monster.
Do you ever get? I'm curious to see, because I remember Flex Lewis has sent me pictures privately before saying, right, here's what I look at 4 weeks out, 225, I'm 226. This is me 100% ready. This is what I can't bring to the stage as a 212. So I'm really curious to see if you've got any photo shoots from you as at like 225. To be honest, I just want to see it on stage. I almost don't care about your placing, because the thing is, I think you're tall enough, your physique is good enough to do well enough. I think I really, really would love to see you do open. I mean, just to say, right, just so you could say that is the best version that I can bring to the stage with no weight restrictions. I think it'd be amazing. I really think you should give it consideration.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes! He's doing okay. Well, we're gonna pick a show then. Let's pick a show.
Let me know what you should do.
Okay then. So you thinking 2020 is going to be a bit iffy for competing this year?
I mean, at the end of the year, I kind of like where the Olympia is, to be honest. December's perfect. Who cares? The summer's over here. You got to remember, our summer's shit. We have 3-4 good months the whole year total. The rest of the months are garbage. Preaching to the choir here, mate. You live in the UK. Yeah, you're same, I know, but you understand. If I can to compete in that Olympia, I wouldn't have to start until September, and at that point, who cares? There's nothing else to do,
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll have a look at some. Well, probably not 212 shows now. Obviously, if you're thinking about going to open, so I think there's the Alicante. Is that open? That's an open show, October. Yeah, come over to Spain. Do one over here in Europe.
What is this show in October?
Yes, October. I'll have a look, and I'll message the promoter, and I'll have a look at what I'll send over a few shows.
I was actually planning to do the Athleticon. That was the only show I really had my eyes on.
Right. Yeah. So obviously that's been postponed to next year, isn't it?
Yeah. So if I do a show soon, I'm going to have it in my sight to do that show next year. So it's going to be. I plan way far ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I plan everything. My dad always taught me. We always wrote out charts for the whole year.
We plan it.
Oh yeah, man! Like on big pieces of paper, big charts. We pick out the show, and then we do cycles leading back from the show, off times.
Yeah.
Everything. Because
you're such a good planner, that's why you always nail your condition. That's why. What was the other thing I was thinking about? Always nail your condition. Your posing's always good, and and you always make 212. You always make weight limit. It's like. Because some of the guys who aren't as well prepared, they're kind of maybe winging it a little bit. But when you're that well prepared, you're always going to be on stage in the weight class, making weight, looking good, having good posing. So that's in your credit, I think, that approach.
Well, you have to be persistent in this sport, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, 32 years old, mate. You got plenty of time. So either on or off stage, I hope to see you at the Olympia, mate, because I'll be out there. So I'm excited to see what you'll do next. Definitely. So, but open, I can get more excited about that than you winning another 3 or 4 212 shows, to be honest.
Well, I'm excited to hear what show you're putting me in.
Okay, well, I'll message you afterwards. All right then, Zane. Well, all the best, mate. And I hope the gym gets back open and everything, and everything kind of goes well for you in this next few months. And all the best, mate. And see you in Las Vegas.
Great talking to you.
All right, thank you, Zane.
Yeah, sure.
And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined all the way from Texas, Miss Women's Physique Pro, Mayla Ash. Yay! Mayla, thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you guys doing today?
Very, very good, thank you. So you're calling from Texas, correct?
That is correct, Irving, Texas.
Okay, so you said before you're originally from Chicago.
Yes, I'm originally from the western suburbs of the Chicagoland area. Moved to Texas about a decade ago. So.
Okay. What was the reason for the move?
Actually, I used to be in corporate America, and the company that wanted me to work for them transferred me down here back then, and I just haven't left. So.
Yeah. So where do you train in? Because I know there's quite a few Metroflexes, isn't there, around Texas? I've been to 2 of them.
Actually, yes. I do train at the one that's been converted to Destination Dallas.
Oh, you train at Destination.
Yes, Destination Dallas, and it's another boutique bodybuilding gym. It's called Precision Fitness.
Okay.
So I train at both of those gyms, depending on what body parts I'm focusing on. So.
Oh wow! So do you see Johnny and Branch?
Actually, yes, I do. I see Johnny and Branch quite often, just beasting out, terrifying the other competitors that they'll never amount to anything. Yeah.
Because I trained in the original Metroflex in Arlington in 2012, and I was there with some friends because I was there for the groundbreaking of the original Destination Gasp. And Branch and Johnny were training, and Per Bernal was doing a video shoot, and I was doing some shoulders, and it was quite because we see them, they're such a popular twosome, training partners. So to see them actually in the flesh training right next to me, it was quite a thrill, really.
Oh, it is. I'm like, it's awe-inspiring. It's intimidating and it's awe-inspiring, but what's so funny about it is that when you see them come into the gym and they're training, it's amazing how people just slowly just spread, like open like the
Yeah.
Just give them the area so they can do what they're doing. But yeah, they're quite phenomenal to watch and inspiring.
So then, Mayla, a bit of feedback there. Could you tell us your contest history? Because I really, I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember the contest I'd seen you at, because I know I said about your shoulders because you've got these amazing shoulders. It's like a real standout body part. But first of all, tell us your contest history.
Well, actually, I started competing in bodybuilding, training and competing in bodybuilding back in 2012. Okay. So I started in figure, yes. I got into it actually to take care of a bucket list kind of thing. I broke my toe, and so it was one of those things, yes. Broke my toe, accidentally kicked a bench, kickboxing, but that's a whole nother story.
I thought you were going to say you had like a near-death experience, or like, a bus missed you by an inch, and then you thought, okay, I'll start training, but you broke your toe.
I tried to come up with some great traumatic kind of
You could change it and edit it in if you want.
Right. So, but it just got to the point I was like, look, I broke my toe kickboxing. So, but anyway, I actually jumped into a show in November of 2012, and I fell in love with the sport. And so initially it was a figure because I had a problem with being barefoot, but so after a while, after a couple of shows, I turned pro in July 4th at which used to be called Team Universe back then, but July 4th. So I turned pro in like under 8 months.
Was that Mayla, was that the drug tested one?
Pardon?
The Team Universe was the drug tested one, wasn't it? That's the one where Kai Green turned pro.
Oh no, Team U wasn't drug tested.
Okay.
So it might have been drug tested way before I got into the sport, but that show wasn't drug tested. The show that was drug tested that helped me qualify for it was the Texas Naturals.
Okay.
So I won that show, and that's how I qualified for Team U. And so the following year, I competed in Team U, and I earned my pro card in figure.
In figure.
So, so I was in figure to 2017, and one of the feedback I got from a lot of the judges and pretty much Bob, the voice.
Bob Chick.
He was like, Mayla, you have a lot of muscle density. He was like, you would do so much better in physique. So I crossed over in 2017, and my first show was Toronto Pro, which I placed 5th. Wow. I went to Mile High, and I earned my first Olympia qualification. So ever since then, 2018, I competed in Omaha Pro, which is how I got my second Olympia qualification. And then last year, it was San Jose. So, but yes, last year also I competed in the Arnold, but that wasn't my best showing because of personal reasons with my my family and everything. But it still was a great year.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to think which Olympia I've seen you at. Which one was it? Right, but I suppose you've done 3 Olympias now, isn't it?
Yes. I've been in 3 Olympias.
What was your placings at those Olympias?
Every year I improve. So last year was my best. I placed 11th.
Okay.
So yes, the year before that was 13th. The year before that, yes, I was just happy to be on stage.
Yeah. So what do you think you need to do to improve your physique to kind of move up into that top 6? Because I think with your structure, because how tall are you?
I'm actually 5'6".
5'6". Oh, that's not too. Yeah. So what do you think you need to do to improve your physique to kind of move up into that top 5 at the Olympia?
For me, it's the conditioning. And so the thing is that my conditioning has always been inconsistent. And so that's something I've been working on over the past couple of years. I think this year I'm really going to nail it. It's improved since I crossed over to women's physique. But by the time I qualify for the Olympia, the season has been so long that I always come in just a little off. And so trying to find that perfect combination of rest, recovery, and just carving up and everything has been my holy grail that I've been chasing over the past 3 years. And so this year, I think I'm going to really lock into it. But it's my conditioning, my legs. Okay,
because I've looked at your pictures and I didn't think there's like couple of other physique pros, when they really step up in their conditioning, they really jump up, because the main thing is in women's physique, you've got to have the physique, you've got to have the structure, which you have. I didn't look at your pictures and think your condition needed to really. Is it from the back shots, or is it just general, or is it just compared to the other girls? Just compared to the other girls.
Like they say, show the one from the back, and I look great up front in that front pose, but when I turn around, that's when it shows. And so, and it's not at every show. The shows that I qualify for the Olympia, I come in, my conditioning is great. It's just when I come into the Olympia, after trying to recover from that show, coming into prepping for the Olympia, I can't nail it. I've had problems with it. And
so really it's the length of the prep that you kind of struggle towards the end of it. Because I know some competitors, the longer they prep for, the better they get. And some people, they just kind of fall off. What is it? Is it just you just get tired, or are you just working too much, or is it why?
Well, for me, I'm like, it's in addition to competing, I used to run a division for a company. So I spent, most of my 12 to 14 hour day working, dealing with, managing my staff and everything. And then I would train and compete and everything. And so it's not getting that right amount of sleep, the stress of all the craziness and stuff like that. And so it's just the season as a whole, the year as a whole would be a long season for me, because I would start after the Olympia to start building and correcting whatever things I needed to correct. And then I would start a prep to get ready to qualify. Okay. And so normally I try to qualify mid-year, so it's not such a long prep, but the thing is that every year it was always, by the time I qualified to do the Olympia, trying to come back, it was just, the year would always just seem too long for me. The stress of just everything. Have you
ever considered doing a post-Olympia qualifier to, like if you did say like Romania in November, you qualify there, and then you've got the full year to kind of, you could literally just prep for the Olympia. If you say qualified at the Romania last year, you could start prepping August, September for the 2020 Olympia. Have you considered doing that rather than kind of prepping for a qualifier and then doing the Olympia in the same year?
Well, actually, you know what? That is something I did consider last year and the year before last, but it was always the same thing, is that, like, for example, 2019, that was the first time that I decided to do the Arnold. So I had to start for the Arnold in November. So after I did the Arnold, then I wound up qualifying for the Olympia doing the San Jose. And then I did the Olympia. And even though I was considering doing the Legion or the Romania, I had been prepping and competing for a year. Yeah. And so trying to recover and then dealing with whatever injuries I need to recover from, that's where the problem comes from, is just trying to because so many people don't understand that trying to get your mind right to stay in a prep or to push through for another prep.
Yeah.
You know, after doing the Olympia and not doing as well as I wanted to or desired to, trying to reset my mind and say, okay, just one more show. Let me just get one more show in.
Yeah.
And my body's just like, it's enough.
Yeah.
So
you're someone that really needs to take a good break after a long, qualifies Olympias. You're someone who takes a really good break.
Yes. And so, which is what's so odd is that this pandemic was the best thing that could have happened to me.
There you go.
Because I wind up, after the Olympia, I wind up going into a development phase and then taking some time off. And because of that, the pandemic forced me to come out of the gym. So it forced me to deal with all my injuries, to settle my body down, to relieve some of the stress. And so now that I'm back in the gym, my lifts are so much better. My shape is coming along much better. And it's not as much stress coming into this year as it always has been. So
yeah. Are your injuries from training or from something else?
Well, before I was an elite track and field runner. So I've had injuries from that. I've actually broke my femur in half from a car accident.
And your toe?
Yes, and my toe, that tragic near-death experience of kicking a bench.
Okay.
But I've also had 2 ACL reconstructions.
Oh,
and so, yes, 2 ACL reconstructions, a broken toe. I've broken my femur in half and had a rod implanted and removed. And so I have scar tissue on my hip and in my glute area. And so dealing with trying to grow and all those injuries and scar tissue has been a struggle since I jumped into bodybuilding. But this year I've been able to address a lot of those issues. And so it's been pretty positive, my improvement season. So I'm excited.
I'm just throwing this out there. You're not copying Branch and Johnny's Texas training style, are you? Is this a Texas thing?
No.
Are you just seeing them and like, right, and then like, because like those guys, you know, I mean, they've got injuries, but like, you know, I think most mere mortals would like their bodies would fall. I think my arms would come out of their sockets if I trained like them. I think you doing that maybe, or?
No, I'm like, well, the thing is that I do believe that my track and field coaches would always say a true athlete is naturally abnormal. I'm like, so they always try to push past that pain. And so I think any competitor is going to naturally try to push past pain, but no, to the level that Branch and them go, no. I'm like, when my body says, you know what, sit down, take 2 seats, I do. I sit it down for a moment. Yeah. So yeah, but I do try to, if I commit to trying to get ready for a show and everything, I do give 150%. You know, I'm a strong believer in, you know, if it's not challenging, it's not going to change you. But I'm like, I also have learned over the last year and a half that there has to be balance. So yeah. I have learned how to rest. That concept of no days off, that's not something I don't believe in that anymore. So I believe that rest and recovery is just as essential as hitting the gym hard. So
what's your training style? Because you keep saying about sort of training heavy and hard. Tell us.
Well, for my training style, I do in my improvement season, I do train very heavy and very hard. I try to, you know, make improvements in my the levels of weight that I'm lifting, the amount of reps that I'm hitting, and the reduction of recovery time, so I can have better muscle endurance. And coming into a prep, I try to keep at a moderate level. I do manage with the whole push and pull kind of split, push, pull, and a leg split and everything. I like to train, you know, 3 days on, 1 day off, kind of consistency. So I have that. But the goal is just continuously trying to increase in the weight and the amount of reps to keep developing the body. So,
do you have a coach, Mayla?
Actually, I do have a prep coach. I do train myself, but I do work with. This year, I work with Brandon Ray. So
Brandon Ray. Hang on. I'm just trying to think because I saw Brandon Ray at the Olympia last year, and there was a lady with him. Oh no, that was the Puerto Rican.
Tomei.
Yeah, no, it was So I just because I heard he preps people. Oh right. So how long have you been working with Brandon for?
Actually, I started working with Brandon in March of this year. So I'm like, it's somebody that I've talked to from at many shows, and we've went back and forth. And he went through a time period where he wasn't accepting any clients, and so we were having conversation after this last Olympia. And I told him, I was like, if I decide to do another season, because after every Olympian, I always tell myself, you know what? I have to still have that fire to continue going. So, and so I go into the gym and I just enjoy the process. And so around March, we followed up with one another. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it this year again. So it's like, I'm planning on being more better. So, he was like, if you want to work together, let's try to do this. And so we're working together. So
it's going well with Brandon, then you're happy? Yes.
And so I'm like, but the truth is that I've been pretty pleased with most of the coaches and nutritional coaches that I've worked with over the past couple of years. And so, but it boils down to just finding that right fit. I always tell people that, it's like this whole thing about loyalty, staying with a coach because that's who you started with. And I tell people, I'm just like, if you want to do well in this sport, you have to find the fit that works best with you, that's going to continue helping you to improve.
Totally agree.
I think it's not about being disloyal. It's about you honoring yourself and the sport itself. If you're trying to be the best or, to continue improving and you've reached the limit that you have with your current, situation, you have to change.
Yeah.
And if somebody's professional, they respect that. And so all the people that I've worked with, they've helped me. I've always learned something from them, but my goal is just to find that perfect fit to help me get to where I need to go. So, and I believe that this season is going to be epic for me.
So you're saying this season, what shows have you got planned for 2020?
Okay, let's be honest. I'm like,
come on.
Every show planned, it's always like, oh, I'm doing this show. Oh, we moved it. Oh, okay. Well, so I'm like, pretty much like last year. What I'm doing is that I have started prepping. The goal is that when my body says it's ready, that's when I'm stepping on stage. And so right now, especially since they've moved Arizona.
Okay.
The Arizona.
What, they've moved Arizona?
Yes, they moved Arizona to December.
What, the whole state? The whole state?
Arizona Pro. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Bad humor.
Yeah, it's UK next to Cambridge.
Yeah, where you were a few months ago. Fantastic.
No, but that's the whole thing is that right now I'm trying to get to competing by the end of August, early September, so that I can have an adequate amount of rest going into the Olympia. Notice that I've already decided that I'm going to qualify for the Olympia.
Well, you've done it 3 times. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it a 4th time. Honestly, I look at your shape and structure, and I was like, straight away, I was like, well, you're top 5 Olympian material. So if you're working with Brandon Rhea, you're happy with how it's going, and you can make some tweaks, you've had a good rest, I don't see any reason why you couldn't qualify this year. And what about shows like Alicante or Romania? What about, outside of the US? Would you consider traveling that far to compete and try and qualify?
Actually, before the pandemic, I was considering on doing the show in Britain before everything started.
Yeah.
So, yes, Romania, the show that was in Spain, the show that was in Italy, those are shows that I have been considering. And so I would most definitely
do Spain.
Well, I was going to say after the Olympia, but since the Olympia is kind of at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, Christmas Day, you're going to compete.
Those are shows that I am looking at. I'm like, I've always wanted to go overseas and compete and everything. And so now that with all the changes and everything, I definitely will be trying to get on one of those stages pretty soon. So,
well, it looks like we're actually going to be taking quite a big team to Alicante because I think I've already roped in another 2 competitors for the show because I'm good friends with the organizers. I think that would be a really good show. I think people are just so desperate for shows at the moment. People really, the bodybuilding fans, they're competitors, they're itching, they're champing at the bit, ready to go. It
is. It's so true. And so it's like every week.
Give us a show, please.
It's like, okay, what show is during what month and everything. And it's like, oh, okay, well, how do I get there? And then next week it's like, oh, they've moved the show. So what show? And now it's not even what show's in the area. What show in the world is happening?
Oh, they've only got bikini, right? I'll just downsize and do bikini next month, you know?
But, you know, I keep trying to tell myself, if I get like a really big hairstyle, so I can cover my delts, my back, and everything else, then all the way down to my bum.
Yeah.
You know, I probably could get away, okay, maybe wellness. Bikini might be a stretch for me, but I could be able to slide into wellness.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to think what else I was going to say. I was going to ask you something else. So, yeah, I think I really want to see what the Olympics. I just think you've got a lot of potential. And I'm just really excited to see how you look this year, because if you can make those several tweaks, and I think you could do really, really well. Also, with the with female bodybuilding coming back to the Olympia, do you ever, because you've gone from figure to women's physique, if you carried on progressing, would you ever even maybe consider stepping up to bodybuilding, or do you think you want to stay in physique? Because I saw that shot of you in the hotel room with your back, and I was thinking that's not far off bodybuilding, really, if you kind of pushed a little bit more, you know?
Well, the thing is that I'm like, the truth of the matter is that I honestly feel that would require much more commitment to a lot of processes that I'm not just at a place in my life that I'm willing to take. And so I'm happy where I'm at right now. And the thing is that I switched from figure to women's physique because, in all honesty, I shouldn't have been in figure. I already had a lot of muscle density in the first place. And every time I stepped on stage, I never used to flex. I would just stand there, because the second I started flexing,
it started popping.
Obvious. Right, you know, and that's what the judges would always say. They was like, you look great by yourself, but the second we start comparing you, you start getting harder and harder, and they start pushing me to the end of the line. And so, you know, but for me to really cross over to women's bodybuilding, I would have to be able to position myself to win, because I'm competitive by nature. And for me to do that, especially with Iris coming back, you have people with Margie. She has a beautiful symmetry and everything. You have
she's big as well. She's
Iris,
big.
Like Helena. You have all these people who are just top quality, top conditioning. I would have to push my body so much harder. And right now, I'm trying to find that holy grail of a combination to get, like you said, top 5, top 3 of women's physique. And so that's where I'm at right now. And so I'm kind of happy with where I'm at.
I paid close attention to the women's physique class. In 2017, I felt like the conditioning was getting too dry. And then it kind of, you know, then when Shanique came along, she actually probably downsized to win the Olympia. So are you happy with the how the criteria is kind of settled in women's physique?
I am happy with how it's settled. With Shanique, I don't think that she downsized to win. I think that she just calmed the hardness down, and she brought her legs in, because her legs, I'm like, she has beautiful legs and glutes, but they were overpowering her upper body, at least in my opinion. And so I felt that she was balancing out, so her symmetry was just that much more superb looking. But I am happy with how it is settling in, because it was something that a lot of people, I respected the fact that the judges, the sport itself needed to find the groove that women's physique needed to settle.
It's the same with any criteria. I remember when bikini started, men's physique. It takes a few years for the classic. I remember when that came along in the UK in 2006. It took 3-4 years for it to settle and to find, you know, how they wanted it to be, you know, and then people started training and prepping accordingly.
And so that, for me, I'm like, I felt that's what was happening, because they had already put out there what they wanted the look to look like. A much more developed, a much larger, more density than women's figure. That's what they wanted, women's physique, but not as dry, not as striated, not as large as bodybuilding. But trying to confirm or make that look consistent is what they had to work on. And so I just felt that they just needed time. And so I am happy with where it's going and everything. I'm happy with where it's at, and I feel like it's going to settle in. This year is really going to settle in.
Yeah.
That it's going to lock in, just like the other, like figure and like you said, bikini and everything. It's going to lock in. It's going to work.
Do you think Shanique's beatable?
On any given day, at any given time, anybody's beatable. Look at, I'm just like, nobody thought Phil Heath was going to get beat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it happens. Anything is possible. And if for anybody to think otherwise, it's not doing the sport justice. Because I feel that when athletes get it in their mind that somebody's not beatable, then they don't start giving their 110%. They're not trying to go for the goal. They're just, I just want to be up there with her. Every time I go into the show, my goal is that I want to be the best.
Yeah.
Now, whether somebody thinks that's realistic, that's on them. I believe that I could be the best in the world. And I always will go into a show thinking that. So, yes, I'm like, I have much respect for her. She has a beautiful symmetry. I'm just like, she's gorgeous on stage, but I believe that anybody is beautiful.
So, by the sounds of it, you follow the male bodybuilding as well?
Yes, I do.
Who's your favorite?
Yeah. Oh,
give me a 3 favorites. And why?
3 favorites?
And why?
Bodybuilding or classic? I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, you like classic? You like classic?
When it comes down to it, I love classic. It's my top. It's my preferred look. I love the golden age. I love the way that I love their look. I love how they pose. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm more of a throwback old school kind of woman. But
throw me some names.
Of course, Bum. I'm like his look is just epic. He's beautiful. But I have to honestly say, Rough.
Yeah. What? I wrote an article. I wrote a 6-page article on NMD on him, and that kid, man, he's just come up so fast. I mean, he's just because he said he doesn't want to. He's like 0.2 under the limit, and he said he wants to stay in classic. He said he just wants to refine his, kind of like Sean Ray did, just refine his physique and just make it as good as he can at that body weight, because it is possible to keep your body weight the same and improve your physique every year.
Yeah, I'm like, that is a struggle and everything, especially because he made so many gains over this, taking this year off and everything. But I'm just like, I'm like, the way that he moves, the way that he poses, I'm just like, it's beautiful. And I remember when I first started seeing him, I contacted him, and I just told him, I was just like, you know, as they say, I slid into his DM, and I was like, I was like, no disrespect or anything like that. I was just like, but you're going to be iconic.
Yeah.
I was like, you're going to be iconic. I was like, your time is coming, because he does. I'm like, there's such a humble spirit about him, which I feel is kind of missing in the sport. But I'm just like, the way that he moves and his symmetry is just beautiful. And the way that he poses it's magnificent to me. And
he's so good, because what is he, 27? He's so good, so young. So he has such a future ahead of him, and he's trained by John Meadows. And I mean, it's just like, do you think he could win the Olympia, the Classic Olympia?
Yeah, I honestly believe that he could win the Olympia. I'm like, can he win it this year? I'm not sure, but I'm like, I don't see why he couldn't. I'm like, if he continues on the path that he's at, he's having a great off season right now. And like you said, he wants to continue honing his look, and the way that the presence he puts on stage. I can't see why he couldn't be up there. Like I said, any given day, at any time, anybody could be the best. I don't see why he couldn't.
So who's your top 5 Mr. Olympia?
Oh,
this year, like just throw me. Come on.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't even give you a top 5 for the Mr. Olympia. I'm still.
Yes, you can.
I really would like to see Phil Heath on the stage.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
I really would like to see.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I would like to see the last 3 Mr. Olympias on stage.
So Sean Roden, Brandon Curry, and Phil Heath. You want to see them in a call out? What do you want to throw Dexter in there as well?
Well, you know what?
Make it 4.
I love Dexter, but I don't feel, and I'm sure that when you post this and everything, I'm gonna get a lot of flack from this, but I feel that the look has went a little bit past where Dexter is right now.
Okay.
He has beautiful conditioning, but I don't feel like his development has continued progressing to the level that the last three Mr. Olympias have went. So
the thing is,
as you trying to gingerly step.
No, because thing is though, think about it, right? The average pro career is what? A good pro career, 10 years, and that's a rise and a fall. He's been kind of really 21 years. So really for him to bring something new to every Olympia, it's like pretty much, it's impossible really. It's impossible for him to bring anything kind of, I mean, he still manages to hang in there and really impress, and he always makes top 6, makes that first call out, or, so I got second at the Arnold Classic, he beat Ramy, so it's not, he's hanging in there and he's doing a bloody good job,
Well, he's doing more than hanging in there. I'm just like, like you said, I'm like, for him to have such a long-standing career, I'm like, it's automatic. That if you see his name on the sheet, that he's about to hurt a lot of people's feelings. He's going to be in the top. I'm like, his conditioning, everything he's consistently fabulous.
Yes.
You don't expect anything less from him.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's consistently fabulous. And I think that's also one of the things that's hurting him is that it's been 20 years and that's the look. And he's going to bring that look. And so it's, like you say, to maintain that for that long, it's hard to bring something new and different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the whole thing is that, for lack of a better term, he doesn't shock and awe.
Yeah.
When somebody comes and they look different from the last year, it stands out. But we expect Dexter's at the top of his game, and we expect it. And he never brings anything less. And so.
Okay, enough about Dexter. We got Sean Roden, Brandon Curry, and Phil Heath in a call out. At their best, who wins? Come on, be honest.
Sean. I'm sorry. I like Sean. I'm just like,
Sean Roden.
Yes, I like Sean. I'm like, and the reason being is that I like his symmetry in the sense of his taper.
Yeah.
I'm like his conditioning. When his conditioning is on, like it was the 2018 Olympia. I'm like when his conditioning is on and everything, and he has a very good look about him. But I'm not a big fan of the excessive.
Yeah.
So
you like classic, so I'm not surprised you like Sean Roden because he's got the. If anyone's bringing classic to the Mr. Olympia, it's Sean Roden.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm just like, now, oh my God. Okay, I'm going to need you to really
come on.
stand this out. 212.
212. Okay, 212.
I know
Kamal El-Ghaghni, Sean Clarida, and Derrick Lunsford were the top 3 last year. Who do you think's winning this year?
No. I don't want to talk about 212. I want to talk about the guy who won 212, retired, come back.
Flex Lewis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was really having a senile moment. I was like, why not? I was like, I see his name. I was like, I see his face.
Okay.
Now, I see him as in the top. I'm like,
when you say top, are you saying top 3, top 5, or top spot?
Top 5. I see him in the top 5.
Okay.
And so that's something that I would love to see up in there. I'm like, of course Dexter's in the 5th, but still, I don't know about top 3. I don't know about top 3. Maybe against Curry, I'm like he might bump Curry for me for top 3.
Yeah. I'm
like, yes, I'm being very controversial here.
It's okay. It's okay. We like controversy. It's good.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, but the thing is I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, I do love classic physique, but to be honest with you, I do love Big Ramy.
Oh, you like Big Ramy? Okay, cool. Yeah.
But the thing is that for him, size that he is,
he's very big, isn't he?
Yes, he's very big. But
clues in the name.
Like, for his size, it doesn't look
right.
That's gonna so weird to say, but it doesn't look excessively massive. It looks balanced for his size.
Have you ever seen him when he's around, just walking around? He doesn't walk like he's like. I used to see like Rich Piana walk it, and it looked like it was an effort. It was like he was so big, but like Ramy kind of, he moves around quite like not like a ballet dancer, but. Yeah, I'm like, and that's what's so phenomenal for me
about him. I was like, at the Olympia last year, I was like looking at him. I'm just like, he shouldn't walk so gracefully to be as big as he is. You can't, I'm like, he has such a presence about him. But yes, I'm like, he walks so gracefully to have so much mass and to be that size. And so I'm like, I'm just like, I do love his look. I'm like, if you're going to be that size, that kind of balance and symmetry is, to me, it's very unique. It's very epic.
Well, I really hope we get to see him in the Olympia this year. You were saying we were sliding into each other's DMs the other day. You were in Cambridge. What were you doing in Cambridge, UK for? How come?
Actually, I've never been to the UK. I'm like, I've been to Ireland. And so I wanted to go to the UK, and they were having great sales. And so I went to go visit a friend of mine.
Okay.
So, yes.
I used to live in Cambridge about 14 years ago. It was quite a nice place, actually. It was quite a very nice architecture, and you liked it.
Well, I loved it quite a lot. Instead of going to London, because of the fact that everything was shut down, and since I did have a concern about the pandemic and how everything was going, I wanted to get out of the country and actually kind of reset my mind before I got started with prepping and deciding to prep and everything. And so I decided just to go visit my friend, which I was planning on doing before. And they were just like, we can't do much. I was like, well, you know what? I haven't seen the castles. I haven't seen the countryside.
Mayla, there is not much to do in Cambridge. I live there.
Well, the whole thing is that, there's so much to do, but it was nice to be able to just get away from what was in this country right now. And so that's what it was. I went right around the time that the whole George Floyd thing started happening and some of the unrest. And so I just needed to get away from what was happening because it was just a little too much for me.
That was a really good decision to time it, because that's the best thing to do is, to step back from something that is just going. It's, it was like I didn't even watch the news for a couple of weeks. I just thought it's too much. It's just with the pandemic and that on top, and everyone kind of like, I stayed off Facebook because everyone was just kind of going crazy because people are angry, they're emotional, and it's it was just like, you did the right thing by just go to Cambridge and and step back, and then you come back and you're obviously refreshed and you're excited about your next prep. And okay, Mayla, any final thank yous to sponsors? Any people in particular?
Well, I actually would like to thank one of my sponsors, which is Celsius. It's an energy drink, and they have been fabulous even through the pandemic and everything. They're continuously supporting me. Good. And they're looking forward to my my next show. But I also want to thank all my fans and followers and everything who have been very kind to me because, like I said, during that time period, I did take a very long break from social media. There was no posting, there was no engagement and everything. And so there was an understanding that I needed a little peace and everything. Good. But more than anything, just my the other competitors, my sisters of steel who are getting ready for the season.
Yeah.
Because finally. I tell people just like, look, there's always going to be something that's happening. I'm just like, either you have excuses or you have results. Yeah. You can't have either. So I'm excited to see my sisters that are going to be getting on stage with me in the next couple of months. So, but no. And I also want to thank Muscle Development for taking the time to interview. Yes, include you. So, but yeah, you guys to start really engaging more than just the standard competitors out there, so that the fans and even other new competitors can see that there's more than just 5 or 10 specific athletes out there. There's a bunch of people. There's diversity, so that we can get more people understanding that this sport is for everybody. There's something for everybody.
I mean, I love getting the A-listers, the Kevin Lavrones, the big names, Brandon Currys and stuff like that. But I love getting sometimes I think you get more credibility as a media outlet by reaching out to the new people like yourself, the up and comers, the people who could, like this year could be cracking top 5, and they'll be like, oh, who's this girl? Like, oh, well, she was on MD a couple of months ago, so it's for me, it's like I get as much excitement and kind of fulfillment out of getting the new faces and stuff like that. Because I think it's important because you're the next generation, you know?
Yes. So, it's deeply appreciated because I do have, I do coaching, prep coaching and posing. And I do have new clients that come in and they're just like, it's so great to see, that there are people who have just gotten into the sport who are doing well because you never hear about them.
Yeah.
And so it's, to tell them it's just like, it's the sport is changing. I was like, It's not, lightning fast. I was like, but it's changing. It's evolving. And so it's great. This is a great time to be in the sport.
Good.
So.
Okay, then, Mayla. Well, looking forward to see you on stage this year. I want to see you in Vegas. On or off stage, we want you there because it's important. Everyone's there to support the Olympia. And, really excited to see what you bring working with Brandon Ray. I think that's going to be hopefully that sounds like that's working out great. So, can't wait to see you on stage. And I hope to see you in Alicante as well. Come on, got to get a big team over there.
Well, you know what? You guys will see me on the stage overseas pretty soon. And so, but yes, I am officially on global muscle development. I'm officially committing. I will be on an international stage real soon.
Right. Well, that's legally binding now.
I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
All right, then, Mayla. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Take care.
And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas, all the way from Texas, Joe Mackey. Yay!
Hey, how's it going? What's up, guys?
Joe, pleasure to have you on, mate. Right, okay. Now, I don't know a huge amount about you, but I know you popped up on my news feed about a year ago, and I thought, oh my God, look at this guy's arms.
Yeah, for sure. Started probably come out with an ebook here pretty how to grow arms, even though it's not, I don't have a lot of crazy stuff about it, but definitely get some tips on it for sure.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your contest history, how you turned pro and leading up to that.
So I turned pro, I want to say back in 2015, placed second at Nationals. I was working with Chris Aceto at the time, and we presented a pretty good package to the stage, and managed to squeak out a second behind Dorian at Nationals. And after that, we went on to do my pro debut at the Ferrigno Classic. First show, did pretty good. Placed a top 10 placing at my pro debut. Got really good, I guess you say, exposure. I was able to stand and compete with some top guys, Cedric McMillian, Brandon Curry, some of the guys I've been watching just since I was a kid. So it was definitely just great just to see those guys on stage and be able to meet on the course and talk to them. And one thing I've learned about the IFBB is like it's just a good group of guys that just really push and respect one another. And I look forward to for sure going forward with the whole goal.
Can you tell us some statistics like how old are you? Tell us how tall you are and your stage body weight, just to get an idea of your size.
Yeah, I'm 30. I just turned 36 this year. Birthday's in March. So if I was a football player, people would ask how tall I am. I would say 6'2", 6'3". But bodybuilding terms, I'm actually 5'10" and a half. My weight right now is about 266, 268. Off season. It's actually been maintained pretty well this prep, so been keeping the size and the fullness, of course, and switching some things up for these last few weeks coming into the show. All season, it kind of varies. I was talking to my coach. I work with Dominic Cardone right now.
Who, sorry?
Dominic Cardone.
Dominic Cardone, right? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I misheard. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we've been together for a couple of years now. We work real well together. And so I know for a fact we need to kind of start attacking all season a little bit differently, just because when it's all season, I actually get smaller. I kind of reduce the food, reduce the training intensity, and usually I'll stay lean all year round. My weight anywhere drop from 255, 258.
So you're less, you go down.
Yeah, and usually when we start a prep, we always grow into a show. So a lot of people always ask, like, man, like, how do you go from this to that? I'm like, well, guys, it's not it's not rocket science. I mean, because I go from eating when I'm not prepping 3-4 meals a day, not training as heavy or hard, kind of giving my body a rest. And then when we start prepping, it's kind of like turning on that button. So we'll usually go from like 255, but we'll jump all the way up to like 275, 285 during the prep.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of level right there. Then we'll start, winging things down based off of us getting closer to the show, of course. But I've been all season before. I've done it both ways. I've been as heavy as 310 in all season. And, it's a lot of weight to carry. So I know for a fact, after this season is over, this all season we're going to focus on putting on, some quality tissue, of course, and keep growing instead of taking that time off and just relaxing, because, you grow with all season for sure. So I've always done a little bit different back in the past, kind of like how Kevin and Ronnie used to do it back in the day. But this time we're going to actually, focus on putting some tissue on it then. Yeah. Using that to maintain and getting ready for the next show after this one, of course.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the 90s guys, they were kind of, even up to like the Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, the method to do it was to go as heavy as you could, go to 300 pounds in the off season, get as huge, and get shoveling as much food as you could, get as big as possible. And now it seems to be more like, and Kevin Levrone was kind of like an anomaly back in the day, because he was the one who would kind of go, he'd really downsize. He'd go like almost like a normal sized guy in the off season, take months off training. Yeah, so I was saying there that like Kevin Levrone, he was like an anomaly back in the day, because he would kind of downsize in the off season and then he'd turn up like 240, 250. So do you actually prefer this approach? Because like now you've tried it both ways. Do you prefer this approach? Do you think it works best for you?
I mean, I actually do. It is a preference of mine. It's because when I'm not prepping, I've carried around like 295, 305 before. It's a lot of weight for sure. And then when you're training, of course, and when you add on that size and that tissue, of course, things change. The way your clothes feel. I have different sections of my closet based off of what weight I am or what size I am. So of course, and it's like. And I have my mom's genetics when I get heavy. So my mom's genetics basically means when I gain weight, it goes to my legs and my butt. And as a guy, I don't like having a big butt walking around.
Ronnie said that.
Pounds.
Ronnie Coleman said that. He said, "I've got my mom's genetics."
Yeah, so it's just like, it's not very pleasant, and it's like, getting in and out the car. It's almost like putting on kind of like those movies when you put on a fat suit, that weighs 50, 60 more pounds. That's what it's like walking around every day at 295, 300 pounds. So, of course, walking around comfortable at a comfortable weight, 255, 260 is night and day difference better for sure. But I also understand, too, like, you have to have good productive all seasons to be able to use it on into the season as well, too. And even though, I mean, we're not, it's not about the weight either. It's what a lot of guys need to understand, too, because it's usually about putting on. It's not about hitting a certain number on the scale. It's just about putting on quality tissue, pretty much. So
plus for those guys doing it, where they're hitting 300 pounds, are they doing it really with clean food, or are they just using it as an excuse to eat crap?
I would say that. Yeah. Because I've done it before. I've done it before myself, and before I knew any better. It was, eating clean throughout the week, but with 4 to 6 cheat meals a week as well, too. And then looking at the scale every other day, and it's like, oh, man, it's 289. Oh, we're 293. Oh, 297. Oh, let's get that 300. And it's just like, let's go eat a bucket of ice cream before we go to bed tonight so we get over 300 by this weekend. So I've been guilty of it myself, just hit that number. But now, the way we've done it before, and you almost have to use that as a way to where we did it last time when we grew into the show. Like I said, when we grew into the show last time, we were 255. We went up to like 275, 280. It was a nice, leaner 275, 280. Yeah. So I would imagine that we're going to do it that way as well. Yeah. Focus on staying in shape, but also focus on putting on some good quality size when we get heavier as well.
The thing is, Joe, you're a big guy, but you do have a nice shape. You've got nice aesthetics. You've got a nice small waist. And maybe if you're coming from 255 and you're staying lean, you're eating clean, and you're kind of like a... kind of not on prep all year round, but you're on it all year round. I think maybe that possibly might be better for your physique, with what you're bringing.
Right. I agree, actually, because I remember I went to a local here. We had a boot set up out there for, the business that we have down here. And I remember going to this competition, and I was lighter. I was 255, 256. I probably had maybe one meal that day. I was focused on setting up the booth at a local competition, bodybuilding competition we had here. I remember walking up to a buddy of mine, and I heard the words that any big man would never want to hear. I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's like, "Hey, what's up, Joe? Like, man, you look small." And I was like,
Joe, I pulled out of a show when I was 17 once because someone said that to me, and I've been prepping for 3 months, and he said that, and I started eating bread with banana and honey and weird shit, man. It was like. Yeah. You don't want to hear that, do you? 255 and it's not called skinny.
250, yeah, but that just tells you too. It's like 255 is not a small weight, but of course, people see me walk around, at 275, 285, and that's ideally whenever I look big, full, of course, like a freak factor. But at 255, someone sees me like, "Man, are you okay?" And I'm just like, "Dude, yeah, like I'm relaxing right now." But For sure, I do agree that going into, as we continue to progress, like we're going to have to focus on having good, productive all seasons and not getting so relaxed, I guess you could say, and being able to put some, like I said, keep that good tissue on, keep growing.
Joe, what do you do for a living?
So I actually am a partner of a medical facility. We do medical imaging, MRI, CT scans, pain management. We have a facility. We're two pretty much businesses into one. So one of the business called Texas Pain Network, where we do pain management. We do anything from cortisone shots all the way to surgeries to working with a lot of orthopedic surgeons, chiropractors. They refer to us, and we also do the other business is inside the same facility as well that I'm a partner of is Innate Imaging, which is where we do MRI, CT scans, X-rays, the whole nine. So we basically we've been able to merge this business, and it's been going pretty good. And also we also do HRT as well too. So that's something.
Oh wow.
So I'm definitely big on that. Being a part of the bodybuilding community. I'm also when it comes to people come to me for training or tips or whatever, the first question I always ask them is, "When's the last time you had your blood work done?"
Yeah.
I tell them all the time, like, guys, we can look great on the outside, and this pertains both men and women. We can look great on the outside, but if you don't know what's going on internally inside your body, if you have no report of that within the last year, you need to be getting your blood work done at least every year to have a good idea of what's going on. For longevity reasons or just overall health reasons, for sure, to have a good idea of what's going on inside your body, for sure.
Well, I'm diabetic, so I have to get, I think, 4 blood tests a year, and it has flagged up certain things, which I'm able to then address, which is it's invaluable. So especially people who are competing, I mean, it's so important, isn't it, blood work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just actually had mine done a week ago. And showed it to my coach. And even though, of course, when you're prepping, a lot of athletes know that things will be here and there when you're on prep, of course, compared to the normal. And but we were able to see some things, from my panel that were beneficial for going forward with the prep for the next 3-4 weeks. Yeah, to where we could change some stuff up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
always tell people at least do it once a year, but I'm big on doing it. Donating blood as well too. I'll go to Carter Blood Care, of course, donate blood, and they'll blow your phone up every chance they get, of course, when they want you to come donate blood. But also, I'm big on at least checking my blood at least every 6 months for sure.
So going over to TRT, I mean, that's I had Vince Taylor on, and he was saying, he says, yeah, almost like it was like a silly question to ask. Do you TRT, Vince? Like, well, of course I do. I take 200 milligrams of test every 7 to 10 days. He said it's crucial. It's crucial for sort of health for men over 40. But I TRT. I use it, and it keeps me feeling, it's but explain the benefits of TRT to guys over 40.
Well, it's funny. It's actually I remember being at an event, actually at a car event, and being a big guy, of course, we get stereotyped. Some people have some things to say every now and then. But I remember a guy coming up to me, and he was like, "Man, like he just came out and asked, like, oh man, you take steroids?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, going to ask you, like, what do you do inside your house? And so I kind of just, I kind of just killed it with kindness a little bit. And I was just like, well, once again, when's the last time you had your blood work done? And he's like, oh, I haven't had it done in like over 5 years. And I was like, well, low T is a medical issue. You know what I mean? That's why they make TRT legal now these days, of course, too, because it's unhealthy to have low T. A lot of problems come from low T that a lot of people don't understand. So this whole thing about being on anabolics, testosterone, steroids, the whole nine, whatever the case is, it's actually something that has been approved now for society due to the fact that it's a medical deficiency if you do suffer from low T. So, and we have low T, of course, when you age, your testosterone does drop. It's something, it's human nature, it's going to happen. And, when you have low T, a lot of issues can come from that, health issues, of course. So that's, once again, why it's just so important. And it's the same thing with men and women too, because it can be crucial to your hormones, when it comes to, men and women or whatever the case is. I remember, I'm not the best with my time or whatever, but it's just, I kind of look into things a little bit different now. I could be around somebody and I could start talking, and let's just say we can have a conversation and they can say something that will just completely confuse me or something, and I'll kind of notice it a little bit and I'll kind of wait, and then the question will come out after a while and I'll just be like, man, have you had your blood work done? Or have you
you just ask everyone.
It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, man, because I think your hormones off or something. But, it's just, because sometimes you can tell too. So, but it's like, I never try to be that person too, the judge or anything like that. But it is super important to know what the hell's going on, because it can happen to anybody, man, woman, whatever the case is, to where when things are off, you have to know what's going on, because if you don't know what's going on, then it's just like, and that goes for anything when it comes to trying to get in shape, lose weight, build muscle. Like I said, men and women, if you have no idea what's going on, then you're basically just spinning your tires. So, if you don't know what's going on internally inside your body.
I decided to start TRT, and when I started crying at Donkey Sanctuary adverts on the TV, and I was like, ugh. I was like, and then my girlfriend at the time, she said, Giles, I think you need to get your test levels checked, love. I was like, those poor donkeys. Those poor donkeys.
Things, then,
they're so neglected.
Like, when you have to scratch your head a little bit, it's like, man, like, this Bambi just died on TV and I'm crying. Like, what is going on? Like, I might need to get my blood work done, man.
Yeah,
like,
you got the test levels of an 8-year-old girl, Giles. Get some testing too.
Exactly. So, for sure.
Yeah.
But it goes for like I said, both men and women. Like, I won't call us men out, and I'll won't just put on women, because I've seen it both ways for sure. And cause I work with people too when it comes to training, clientele, and it's like, like I said, anytime I decide to work with somebody with their nutrition or workouts or whatever the case is, the first thing I ask them to do is go get the blood work done. Yeah.
It's so important. I remember I won't say a big coach, and he was working with a top 3 Olympia guy, and he actually wouldn't start prepping him until his blood work came back clear. And he said the first set, he says, I am not going to put you on a course and a diet and a prep until your blood work comes back clear. He says, so you can start dieting, but I'm not going to put you on anything until you start. And it was, I think he got the blood test results cleared about 8-9 weeks out, and he says, right, now you can go back on. He says, otherwise I'm not being responsible coach.
That's smart. I mean, that's the way I wish, a lot of things would take place for sure. I mean, that it was, that things were mandatory, because it's like, so I'm 36. I've been doing this, seriously for about the last 10, 12 years. And, I think we've all been to that point to where it's just like that win-win mentality, do what it takes, whatever it takes. I know I've been guilty of it as well too, to where it's like, certain things weren't on my mind, and it was like, more is better. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, whatever it takes, blah blah blah. And it's just like, so with doing that, it's just, I've seen some things, in the industry as far as it goes, to where it's like, myself personally speaking, I've done some crazy things, at the beginning of my career, in bodybuilding as far as it goes.
It's trial and error though, isn't it? It's trial and error. It's like, you kind of hear what, you look at like the jail run and you think, well, they must be doing this, this and this, I'll do that. And you might be right, you might be wrong, but you maybe realize that sometimes more isn't better.
Absolutely. And that's what I was trying to get to, because it's like, I feel like I've taken most of the most at one time in my life, at the beginning of my bodybuilding prep, and people ask me like, hey, did it make a difference? And I'll tell you straight up, no, it didn't. Yeah. Made a difference with me having nosebleeds every night.
I was going to say nosebleeds. Yeah. We've all been there.
Skyrocket.
Yeah.
Or, just a lot of, negative reactions as far as that goes for sure. Yeah. But as far as like being bigger, heavier, I've always been a strong guy, even naturally as well too. So, but just with the whole fact of thinking that it's going to take you from looking like a 212 bodybuilder to a Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler, like that's not going to happen. It's longevity. I mean, I can tell you that now too. I had a guy talk to me in the gym the other day. He said he was looking at my pictures from back in the day. He was like, man, what was that took you from your days as an amateur or beginning top national guy to where you are now? And I said, man, that's easy. And I learned this when I worked with Chris Aceto, because I remember getting my plan from him the first week, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is this? Like, the key to growing is 100% food.
Yeah.
Because when I first started with, we do the same thing with me and Dom now, but when I first started with Chris, I remember getting my plan and talked to him, and probably about 10 minutes later, and I was like, dude, this breakfast, like, I've never ate this much in my life. Like, are you sure this is right? And he's like, yeah. And I remember trying it the first week, and after breakfast for the first 2 weeks of having that plan, I would eat breakfast and I wasn't hungry again for like 6 hours later, but I had to finish that meal in.
Big old breakfast, big Texas-sized breakfast.
Yeah, and that's actually, and funny story, that's actually I got introduced to the people I'm with now, my sponsors, Project AD, because I remember I started taking the Ravenous, and that's the only thing that was able to help me with my digestion.
So you're with Joe Binley with Project AD with, because Ravenous is a very good product. I've actually used that. I've used that product.
I remember.
Helps you.
I got turned on to them, and it worked like a charm, man. I remember the first week I took it, that's the reason I was able to start getting my food in, because I'm talking about breakfast with Chris. I mean, we're talking about like 2 cups of uncooked oatmeal, 14 egg whites, 4 whole eggs, 2 bagels, and that's like meal 1. All right. Then meal 2 is like, meal 2, we're talking about, 3 cups of rice, 14 ounces of protein, 2 cups of greens. And after breakfast, like I said, it's like, dude, it's impossible. Like, how the hell am I supposed to get this?
The thing is, Joe, the reason people will try to think that it's better to go to the coaches that will tell you to take lots of gear, because it's easier to load up a syringe than it is to get through that kind of food. So you really, sometimes people are drawn to the coaches that it looks like, oh, I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm willing to double my gear, but I'm not willing to do that, because a lot of I know a lot of the top coaches, people like Chris Aceto, some people like that, like Chris will be dropped by certain athletes because the athletes aren't willing to put that kind of hard work in. So he's like, well, if I can't work with you, there's pointless us working together.
Absolutely. And that's what I try to tell so many people, especially young adults coming up in the industry. It's like and here's another thing, interesting fact that I was telling Ron last time I talked to him. It's like I was a naturally big guy before I started anything. So I was able to go from 185, 190 to 250 naturally. And that was me natural. And when I first did anything, I was in my 20s. So of course you have a lot of guys now doing things at a young age, and I'm the first to tell someone now, like, hey, let your body mature, grow, eat, train heavy, train hard. Yes, I'm a big person on it, especially when you're young, your joints are good and this and that. I'm a big person on, yes, the harder you train, the heavier you train, the more tissue and the bigger you're going to get, no doubt about it. It's just, it works. So, and I've always been like that. I just grew up, as 18, 20 years old, you want to bench strong, you want to dumbbell press strong, you want to squat strong, you want to deadlift strong. So I was always just that guy that wanted to be the strong person in the gym. So, and when I finally took anything, I took, 1 bottle of testosterone and, some D-ball. I went from 255 to 300 pounds.
Do you know what? The amount of time I've heard that from the guys that, are naturally genetically gifted, who've put the years of hard training and good eating in. They're the ones. I remember Kai Green, and they say that he didn't start till 2006. But if you look at when 2005, he was 15th in the New York Pro, and then he got like 6th the year after. It was like he completely. I mean, he put on like a ridiculous amount of body weight, like 30, 40 pounds. Ronnie Coleman. I mean, he was. What was it, 94? But he said he'd even took a single thing. It must be a Texas thing. Because like you guys, because I mean, obviously you got Branch, Johnny, Destination, you got Ronnie, and all the there's a really good work ethic.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like, and that's something I was telling him as well too. It's like, man, when I was young, it's like I know Branch and Johnny, they worked out at Stroud's and Metroplex, and Ronnie worked out at Metroplex. I never got to see them, back then, unfortunately. Wish I could have seen Johnny working out in his prime, and I wish I could have seen Johnny or Branch working in their prime. It's cool now to see you train with Branch and Johnny at times right now, of course.
You see them you see them in Destination, don't you? Because you're sponsored by Gasp, who also sponsor Branch and Johnny. I mean, you because I've got some video footage of you training in the new Destination. So they're still pretty. I mean, Johnny's still competing.
Yeah, Johnny. I mean, I'll tell you what. The first time I trained with those guys, I didn't take it lightly at all because I knew, it's Johnny.
Yeah.
But I remember I put up a post after I trained with them, and it's like, they're as their age as far as it goes, they're not missing a step by far. I mean, the first day I trained with them, it was back day, and we haven't done legs together, but it was on a back day, and I've never left the gym on a back day where I felt like I needed to pass out as soon as I got in my truck.
Back day with Johnny Jackson and Branch Warren. Oh my God, that's one off the bucket list.
Yeah, it was insane, man, and that was just it, because it's just like they are just, strong, and the intensity, just everything is just all there, man, and it's a reason why they paved the way that they have and done the things that they have in the industry for sure, because their work ethic in the gym shows it. I mean, and they, it's like, it's almost like you said, there's always someone out there that can outwork you, or there's always someone else out there that's crazier than you. It's like I feel like I could be a crazy person at times, but I was around Johnny and Branch, and I was like, God damn, man, these are some two crazy motherfuckers. And I'm just like, but it's like I love it.
Every session.
Yeah, and it's like everyone. It's like it never was one, because we trained on Thursday morning, and so Wednesday. I would always, get my head right, listen to my music, and kind of put myself into a little bit of meditation, getting ready for that Thursday morning with those guys. Wow. And then headed to the gym that morning. It was just like, like let me be. No one talk to me. Like my mind right now is just on this workout. But, and it's something you take lightly is that was me training with them one day a week on back day. So just imagine those guys training every single day, every single body part to the level of intensity. And I train hard, no doubt about it. But like I said, when you train with, some guys to that degree, it's no doubt about it why they could take their bodies and their bodies look the way they do, of course, with the great packages that they presented. It's kind of like, another person I wish I would definitely be interested in training with is Dorian, Dorian Yates, because it's just his style, and it's just, and I've heard about him because it's just like
get yourself, Joe. Get yourself to Spain, mate. He'll put you through a session, and he loves putting people through a proper blood and guts training session, mate. Honestly, get yourself over there.
I can only imagine, because I know I saw Branch train with a couple times, and it's just like one thing I've heard with Dorian is that he'll have you do a set, and let's say you do 20 reps and you're dead at 17 and you get to 20, he'll be like 5 more, and then you'll get 5 more, and then he'll say 5 more, and then it's like you'll do 5 more, then he'll say 5 more, and I'm like, God damn, man, it's like, like I mean, and that's it too, because it's like, training with Branch and Johnny, I remember one bad workout we did, and we were kind of getting to the end, at least from what I thought we were. And we were supposed to be doing like this kind of cool down movement, and Branch, whatever was going on that day, I mean, he was just like, fuck this, and we went over to the T-bar, and we just started loading it up, and I'm just kind of like looking from distance, I'm not going to back down, and at the end of the day, like, no one's going to break me, and I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stay in the groove, with you guys for sure. But I was shocked for sure, because it was just like I was toast. And now we were going to this T-bar, and we started off, and he puts up 3 plates on there. We rep out 15, and that's always our magic number is 15. I don't care how heavy it gets; it's 15 reps. Yeah. So it's 3 plates. Then we went to 6 plates. Then we went to 9 plates, and it was just
you can only put about 9 on there, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was that Ronnie Coleman T-bar or whatever. So whatever Ronnie was on, but it was
there's some DNA in that T-bar. There's some history there, mate.
Oh man, it's insane.
Yeah,
and but when we trained, it was always Branch would go first, I would go second, Johnny would go after I would, and I always noticed too that it seems like we work very well together too, because it's like I feed off of we all feed off each other. But when I see Branch go and see his see his aggression, his animosity, and it's just how he works, it gets me ready for my set for sure. So I remember he got on that. It was the last set, and we were doing 15, but whatever set it was, his last one, and he repped out, I want to say about 17, 18 reps, on the last set. So more than what he had done with lighter weight.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, God damn, man. Like,
he just cranked it up a gear just like that.
Yeah, just cranked it out, man. And I wasn't able to get as many as him. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I think I probably got maybe like 12 or 13, and then Johnny went, and matched the same thing as well too. But after that workout too, I same thing. I put another post up, and I was like, guys, like, I'm not saying you guys don't train hard out there, but look, like these guys, just where they are in their and their point where they are when and what they're doing. Branch is retired. Johnny was retired, but he came back now, so he's back in the group now. But it just makes you think as well too, how Branch trained when he was prepping, for these shows.
Yeah.
Or when he was in his prime. You know what I mean? And I had one of the guys say me that too. He's like, man, you think Branch is a beast now? Like, you should have seen him in his prime.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, he was saying, he said the more grey I get in my beard, the weaker I seem to get. But when he says weak, he's still probably really, really because he's still probably 70-80% of the size he was. He's holding decent size. He's not completely retired from training.
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
Just not competing anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big part of it too, because it's just you go to the gym now these days, and you kind of you look around and everything. You kind of you can see who trains hard and see who doesn't, of course. And it's like I do agree with a lot of things that because I've seen some of Dorian's commentary, and I've seen some of Branch commentary, and it's like, and I no doubt about it, I agree with a lot of things they say. Like the way they trained back then compared to how some people train now. Because I go to the gym, I see it every day, and it's like you're at the gym and people are talking, socializing, this and that, and I'm that person. I go to the gym, I put my headphones on. I'm a cool guy, but it's like, please just don't come and start trying to chit chat and have a conversation while I'm training, man. It's like I hate that more than anything.
Joe, I actually went to a gym and I never went back again because a guy told me off because he was filming himself benching 135 and he was filming himself on Instagram Live. And I was walking through the gym and he goes, come on, man, you're spoiling my shot. And I was like, mate, you're filming yourself benching a plate aside. Come on. And I never went back.
Jeez, man, and it's like it's you try to block things out. I'm saying with you, man. It's like I won't get started on I won't step on any toes or anything like that. But it's like when you can surround yourself with some serious lifters that have similar mindsets to where it's like when it's time to get to the gym, it's time to work. It's not time to talk about what's going on and in the world and this and that and whatever the case is. Like when I walk into the gym, I mean, you can think that I'm mean or you can think that I'm antisocial or whatever the case is, and that's fine because I'm like I really don't want to talk when I'm there to train.
Yeah.
So I had to get on somebody about a week ago. I was working out with we work out over at Destination. And you kind of get a mixed crowd over there, of course, and it can become interesting at times. But one of my workout partners over there, Sean Irizarry, and we were working out, and this guy kept coming over and talking to him, and if you can't feel my eyes looking at you,
he's totally oblivious. He was totally oblivious.
Yeah, I finally say something. And I was like, and even when I said something, the guy still didn't even get it. I'm like, hey, man, like, we're trying to work out. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, wow. And I'm just like, man. So, and then he walked off and John starts laughing. He's like, man, that's why I like you, man. And it's like, but yeah, I mean, that's just me, man. It's just like, look, after I take my headphones off, after we're done, it's been many times I've gone up to people like, hey man, like, sorry, I'm when I'm training, I don't really like to talk, I wasn't trying to be mean or nothing like that, shake their hand, introduce myself, because, at the end of the day, I don't, I'm not gonna say I care what everyone thinks, but at the end of the day, I don't want people thinking like, oh man, Joe's an asshole, this and that, whatever the case is. But people do need to know too, like when you train, that's the time. Take it serious, man. That's time to train. It's just like any athlete, football, basketball, baseball. Like, you don't go to the, basketball court and start talking to somebody when they're practicing. You know what I mean? So you do the same thing to, athletes when they're in gym.
So, you're up there to socialize. You're 5 weeks out from the Tampa Pro. What's it been like prepping during the pandemic with, the Tampa's definitely going ahead. But what's it been like prepping for a show that a few weeks ago maybe wasn't guaranteed to be going ahead? What's that been like psychologically?
I haven't thought so much whether the Tampa wasn't going to happen. I've kind of been completely optimistic with that. But prior to the Tampa, I was prepping for the New York Pro.
Oh, okay.
And New York Pro got moved back once. And, when I got moved back, we stayed on focus for the New York Pro. And then it got moved back again. Mm-hmm. And then we came to terms where it's like, well, I guess that's it, because at that point we just felt like nothing was going to happen this year. And then start servicing about talk with the Tampa Pro. And I went back to, Dom, and I said, hey, like, what do you think about the Tampa Pro? And I think we were 10 weeks out at that point. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we're already there. So, why not? But as far as it, it definitely hasn't been pleasant. I can tell you that it's not ideal as far as the way we would have liked things to go, because it's definitely.
But everyone's in the same boat, though, aren't they? So you've got to kind of just get your head down and just, if a show, is that the attitude? If a show comes up, they'll just do it. If it moves, then I'll just do the next available one.
Yeah, because that's just like I remember when the gyms were shut down out here, and I was still able to get some workouts and this and that, but we were still in prep, I guess you could say, but I think that time we were in prep for the Tampa. But personally speaking, that switch wasn't on for me yet, just due to the fact because there was a lot of things with the gym to where some days I was able to make it, some days I couldn't, based off of people or the industry out here, as far as like people come by the gym seeing if there's anybody there, or having to sneak in the back door, or this or that, or whatever the case is. So things weren't as consistent. At one point when all the pandemic happened, it was a little bit rough with the food situation. Yeah. I remember going to the store and trying to buy some chicken breasts, and I ended up having 2 weeks of chicken wings instead.
Horrible chicken wings. Oh my, that's a tough way to get all your protein in that.
Oh man, they sure were tasty though, I'll tell you that. So it's like
lots of barbecue sauce.
Going from chicken breast to some chicken wings in the air fryer, I wish I could prep a show with some chicken wings the whole time, but that's not realistic. But it was definitely for sure, just it was on and off. And then I finally remember when things started going in the right direction, things started opening back up, gym times open back up to normal. And for me, it's always like mental for sure. And I think a lot of like that, but it's like turning the switch on and off. And when things were all over the place, that switch wasn't on. And I could be the first one to tell you that, because it was just, a lot of things are out of my control. And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm still going to do everything I can do to get things done. But, unfortunately, you come to situations where just things are out of your control, and you just have to, just take it for what it is, kind of like the food situation, or, going to the gym and, going to the gym and can't get in that day or can't work out that week, and I don't care what to say. Like, when you go from training hard in the gym to trying to do some home workouts, and people saying you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. No, you can't. It's not the same. So, so it was definitely, for sure, a huge inconvenience. And then, like I said, when things started, going for the best, I was able to go to Dom, and we worked together, and we were able to turn that switch on, and things started going back in the right direction for sure, with how the body would respond, and the strength, and getting leaner, fuller, the whole nine, and here we are now. So I think we're 3 weeks? Are we 3-4 weeks out from Tampa?
I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say 3 weeks out from Tampa right now. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, Joe. Well, have you got any thank yous to sponsors? Because I know you got some very good sponsors.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to just everybody that's just been in the corner for sure. Project AD, been with them for a couple of years now. People ask me all the time, like, "Oh man, do you refer to products just because you're sponsored with them, or do you actually take the products?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like I was actually taking Project AD before I was even an athlete with."
You've obviously used the shred. You've used the Shreddable.
Man, that Shreddable is insane. So
I've actually got some in the cupboard, the red capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy that is.
We wing on and off of it, and it's just. So have you actually ever took it too soon and rode to the gym in your car and start sweating in your car yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing, and it's like actually I remember doing that one day, and I took a Shreddable, and I got a call. That I needed to go up to the office real quick before I did cardio, and I took a Shreddable. I was like, let me stop by the office first, and
Sweaty Joe.
It was like I just started sweating my ass off, and I just could not stop sweating. And I got to the office, and people were looking at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And it's just sweat's just coming down my face, my shirt is drenched. And I'm like, guys, I got to get out of here. But, that Shreddable is, it's absolutely insane. But I love it. So, and it can just hit you out of nowhere for sure. But anyway, so Project AD, I like the products. I've been taking those products before I was an athlete with them. I vouch for everything they do. They create some very good products. So, and I like it as well, too. They're very big with the 80 Life brand, pretty much, which is health oriented pretty much with the 80 liver, 80 heart, the curcumin. We're coming out with new products. Just seems like just about every month now. So I like everything that they do to stand behind those guys.
And also leading on to the best bodybuilding clothing company in the world.
Say it again. Leading on to the best bodybuilding clothing company in the world is Gas. This is Gas. Yeah. So, and that's another thing too, man. It's like I like Gas. It's just a good sponsor, that mate. Being a big guy, it's hard to find clothes that fit good. Especially when it's just I used to go to Dick's and Academy, try to go buy these Nike stuff and Reeboks and stuff, and now Nike's coming out with all these straight leg pants, and it's like it's like you ain't getting your quads in them, mate. It's like it's no way, man. And it's like walking around with some tight fitted pants on, going to the store. That's just not me. But face to go purple. Yeah, like So, but Gas, man, it's like they're attire, man. And I love everything about them for sure. They fit good, looks good, the whole nine. So Michael Johansson up here, great guy as well too. The whole Destination Gas team. So good guys. I came to the groundbreaking in Texas in 2012. Oh, nice. Yeah, 2012, and then I came out again in 2016, and I went to Michael's house, and it was a fantastic. I remember he had some cowboy caterers. Have you ever had those where he brings the cowboys cooking all the steaks and everything? And it was amazing. I had a band playing. It was amazing. Oh, man. Amazing. He's big. Yeah, he's big on firing that grill up and everything for sure. Yeah. He's a good big car guy. I'm a big car guy as well too. So now he's doing the bikes, of course, too, and everything, and get out there and see the horses. So Michael's a good guy for sure. And like I said, the Gas, I've recently been with them now for the last year now. So they take good care of me for sure. And I'm just that type of guy. You take care of people that take care of you, but also it makes things so much easier when it's natural. Because with Project AD, the products are great. Gas. I love the clothing line. I love the way it fits. Yeah. So, it's easy to do things when you enjoy and kind of vouch for the things that are right there in front of you. You're not exactly selling your soul for a few dollars or whatever when you've got good companies like that supporting you. And I mean, that's probably two of the best sponsors you could have literally in clothing and supplements. You're very lucky there, mate. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's deserved, though. It's deserved. Yeah, and everything that's going on, they've been very supportive. And, with all this stuff, I know it's caused a lot of inconvenience with things, in business and stuff, and just things that are just unfortunately out of control, with everything that's going on in the world, of course. But we're taking it in its strides, and, everyone's doing good, and, just got to keep pushing forward. Okay. All right, then, Joe. Well, we'll let you go, mate, and I'm really excited to see you on stage at Tampa. I want to see the new improvements. I want to see how the physique's looking, and, it's going to be really good. I'd love to see you at the Olympia this year, mate. That'd be cool. Yeah, man. I was just about to ask you guys gonna make it down, but I know with everything going on, it's probably not an option to get down here for the Tampa. Is it? You guys not gonna make it down for Tampa, are you?
MD's gonna be there, but I won't be because I'm from the UK. So
yeah, sure.
I've been to Tampa. I went 2017, but fantastic show. Tim Gardner's probably the best promoter in the world, really. One of them.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of great things about Tampa. So
fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay. All right then, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll keep a close eye on what happens to you in the next couple of months with you competing, and hope to see you in Vegas as well, mate.
Sounds good. That's the plan. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Guys.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by UK figure pro, Rhea Gayle. Yay! Rhea, thank you for joining us.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. You said you were because you said you're away or something. You're this weekend or
yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing this weekend then?
So this weekend it's been seeing family, and I'm back home now, chilling, resting, ready for the training week ahead.
Okay, where are you based?
Pardon?
Where are you based?
London.
Oh, London, of course, yeah, because I've seen the Muscleworks Orpington videos and stuff like that. Yeah, right, okay. Now the first, obviously I keep my finger on the pulse as much as I can, but I can't remember even knowing about you before the 2019 Olympia where you took 13th place. So tell us about your contest history, because you seem to come from nowhere, and you kind of went and you had a very good placing, very good debut at the Olympia. Tell us about your contest history.
So I turned pro at the Amateur Olympia in June in the 2018.
Okay.
Which was in Alicante.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there was a pro show attached to that, and we were just like, right, let's just give it a go. Just turned pro. A couple of hours later, there's a pro show. Let's just do it. See how we get on.
Yeah.
And I actually placed 5th at my pro debut at that show, which was really cool. Then done the Romania Muscle Fest Pro that November.
Yep.
Came 8th there. And then it was like, okay, we've done 2 European shows, and I was like, do you know what? It would be really nice to go to America and just see where I'd sort of fit in, see what the competition is like over there. And I've got like a bucket list of shows that I was like, I really would like to do. And obviously the Olympia, when you turn pro, that is like a goal that you work towards.
Yeah.
But kind of when I was thinking after Romania, I was like, let's just go and see what happens. So then we went to New York, and that was absolutely incredible to do that show. I came 3rd in New York. Then we went to Puerto Rico, came 3rd in Puerto Rico.
Wow. No messing around.
The week after that, we went to Toronto. I came 4th in Toronto. And then that was when sort of like the Olympia points were sort of building up, and we were like,
yeah,
just keep going. Like, if my body's okay, I'm not tired, let's just keep pushing. So then done Chicago. Came 5th in Chicago, and then the week after that I went to Virginia and came 2nd at the Norfolk Pro.
Wow. Who came first in that one?
That was Lola.
I don't know that name. What's her name? Wow. So that many shows, were you okay doing that many shows?
Yeah.
Felt
so
good?
There was some that were back to back. New York, Puerto Rico and Toronto were back to back.
Yeah.
So that was like, okay, just keep on rolling. And then there was about a 4 or 5 week gap between Toronto and Chicago. And it was kind of like in that period of time, we could sort of feed into the shows. But mentally, I was such like a positive of like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's just keep on going and going. Yeah, it was okay.
Did you get better as the shows went on, or were you starting to struggle towards the end of it? Because I know some people, I remember like Tony Freeman, he would start the season off, he'd like do 6 shows through the season and he'd get better in every single one. And he said he'd actually pick up momentum. Whereas other people, they'll start off strong, like William Bonac, he'll start off strong and then he kind of fades as the shows go on. So which one are you?
So I found that it was sort of that momentum. So
right, okay.
Keep on going, get a bit tighter and respond a little bit better. But yeah.
Yeah, so you must have a good sponsor to do all that traveling. I mean, how do you manage with what do you do for a living in terms of work?
So at the time, I was actually working in Canary Wharf as a personal trainer. So it was more so then I was like saved up everything, and was just like, right, book my annual leave for these weeks and done it. And then after that, and sort of, really seeing what's out there and the passion that I have for bodybuilding, I was then like, right, I'm just going to move my one-to-one personal training and working for a company and try and do this on my own, become an online coach. That gives me more options to move around and travel and compete and everything like that. So everything's online now.
So we'll come back to that in a bit. But before the 2018 Amateur Olympia where you turned pro, had you done many shows before that, and were you always figure?
So yes, I was always figure. I'd done UK BFF before I started competing in 2016. So before I turned pro, I'd done about 9-ish shows. I'm
just trying to think if I've seen. I'm trying to think if I've seen you. Maybe because I'm trying to imagine a smaller Rhea, like a less developed. I'm trying to think. Did you do the 2017 British?
Yes, I did.
I remember you. Yeah. You came. What did you come there? Second, I remember you. No, I remember there were some people shouting for. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you were. Yeah, because I remember there was. Who were you prepped by at the time?
Rob, Team LRF.
Rob Witt. Yeah, Bob Witt. Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, and I remember you got second. Yeah, that's right. Shit, yeah, gosh. So yeah, I'm just piecing it all together now. Now, obviously, the first time that you really kind of came up on my radar was at the Olympia, because I was there for, sat in the press row working for MD covering it, and I had the sheet and I was like, oh, Rhea Gayle, okay, saw the name. And then you came out and obviously I scanned the lineup and I was like, wow, you really, really belonged at what were you like? I mean, you were third call out? Second call out. And I remember thinking, she's really, really good. Why have I not, do you know what I mean? Why have you not kind of popped up before? But there you were, going all over the world competing, doing dozens of shows, Yeah. So what was the highlight for you of 2019 with all those shows?
I think with all those shows, I think the highlight was definitely sort of making it to the Olympia, and just being amongst girls that I've looked up to since I've started this sport, and just words can't even describe like how it felt. But that was probably the highlight of the season, is making it to the Olympia and then kind of walking away with 13th place after going in there with sort of no expectations.
Yeah, I mean 13th place. I mean, what was it, like 30 girls in the lineup? It's the Olympia. You to place in your first Olympia after just turning pro like a year before. I mean that you. I remember seeing you actually at the reception at the Orleans. And I remember you every time I saw you had this big smile on your face, and I don't think you took that Olympia jacket, the Olympia tracksuit off once. I think did you wear it to bed like?
It's like, no, it's never coming off.
Yeah. So when did it feel real for you when you were at the Olympia? Was it when you got because I mean, I've been there with with my ex-partner and stuff, and then it was when she got the tracksuit. She said that's when it felt real. That you get your official Olympia tracksuit, and then you put it on, and you think, yeah, this is happening now.
Yeah, so I think that was probably it when I kind of felt like, right, this is it, I'm at the Olympia, because I was out there a couple of days before, wasn't really amongst the festivities. I was at an Airbnb, just chilling, training, getting everything done, and then obviously you moved into the Orleans, and then it's like you see all the other athletes, you see the signposts for the Olympia, then you have your registration, and then you get your tracksuit, and it's like, wow, this is it, this is real, we're really doing this. Was it everything you expected, the Olympia? And more. Wow. Everything and more. Why? It was just, I've watched it, I've seen the stream of the Olympia before, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. And then when you're there, just the atmosphere and it's really hard to explain. Just the whole feel of the whole weekend, from being backstage, being at the Orleans, just the way that you're treated, everything is it's absolutely incredible. Yeah. So, I mean, did you do any of the shows after the Olympia, or was the next contest you did the 2020 Arnold Classic? So, yes, that was the next step for me, was the Arnolds. Mm-hmm. So it was off the Olympia stage, right, let's hit an off season, make the improvements for the judges' feedback. Let's see what happens. Let's apply for the Arnolds, and boom. Your physique was definitely improved from the Arnold Classic. I mean, that's quite a short period of time to really show improvements. I noticed your shoulders were bigger, because I mean, the thing is with figure, you've got to kind of have the good quarter turn, the good shoulders, the good glutes, the small waist. How did you manage to make such good improvements in such a short space of time? So it was really sort of utilizing training, increasing food, and also exploring different methods as well. And I think as well, mentally for me, the Olympia really helped me mentally level up.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt like a different Rhea when I stepped off the stage. In terms of like this is it. This is the pinnacle here. Let's get off here, push with momentum, and see what more we can do.
So, I mean, was there any difference in terms of body weight? Were you at the Arnold Classic to Olympia? Because I mean, I was quite impressed when you came out. I remember you came up by yourself, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe you'd made such good improvements in such a short space of time, and you took 8th place at the Arnold Classic. So what was that like at the Arnold Classic? What was that? How did that compare, say, to the Olympia? Was it completely different or just as cool?
So the Arnold was absolutely incredible, despite everything that happened.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. That was. I mean, what was it? The thing is, I was there as a media guy. I got there on the Tuesday, and it seemed like as soon as I landed, I got this text saying the expo's cancelled, and I thought people were joking, and I got 115 notifications. And when I got there was just so much. Like there was news coming in almost every couple of hours and rumors and everyone's messaging each other. And it was such an intense, but for me, I wasn't stepping on stage, so what was it like as a competitor to be under that kind of circumstances?
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember I was sort of in my Airbnb, and I think it was the Wednesday that it all sort of started kicking off. And I remember I sort of just messaged my coaches, JP and Corin, and was like, there's rumors flying around that the Arnold is cancelled and stuff like that. Really sort of with them being based over here, they kept me just like nice and calm. It was like, happens. There's not much we can do now. Just stick to protocol and hopefully something go ahead. And it did. And even under the circumstances that it was, I was still just so excited and grateful to be gracing the Arnold stage. So it was bizarre than prejudging when all you could hear was like the clicks of the camera. Because obviously it was a very controlled crowd.
Yeah, do you know what? Because I'm sat at the front and I'm focusing on what's on stage. I didn't even notice there was, because I'm not sat behind anyone. I'm just literally looking at the stage. I'm so focused. I didn't even notice there was no one there at the prejudging. I was just so kind of taken in by everything. And I mean, obviously then there was a big difference when they got the night show and there was people allowed, but it was so tense. I mean, I think that was a real test for all the competitors. I think that, and to me, it actually made, in the end, I think it made for one of the best, because I've been to about seven, eight Arnold Classics. I think that made for one of the best Arnold Classics I've ever been to. It really, I think the fact that they kind of the show managed to happen, I think it added something,
Yes, definitely. It was amazing to be a part of that, and how the circumstance changed so quickly, yet it was still run incredibly. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
So, I mean, I looked on your Instagram and I noticed that you're prepped by Rob Witt and your training is taken care of by JP and Corinne, Jordan Peters, trained by JP. Plug. Yeah.
So, I am completely trained by JP and Corinne now.
Oh, okay. Switched.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the switch in November last year. Yeah. So they handled my prep and training for the Arnolds, and now we are looking at shows for October.
Spain.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah. I can't divulge, but I might have a big open competitor doing that show.
Ooh.
So yes, I might be taking like a little team of pros and amateurs to that show. So I'm really looking forward. I think because of everything that's gone on this year, I think it just adds to everything. I think it adds to, there's going to be like a new appreciation for the shows now. I think the Olympia as well is just going to be, there probably will be some restrictions in place or something, but I think by that point we'll be so used to it anyway. I just think people are just going to be ready for like Dan Solomon said, he said, we're ready for like a celebration of bodybuilding,
Yes, I do think that this whole situation is really, it's definitely shown me how much this sport means to me.
Yeah.
And how much I just want to keep on pushing to get to that stage, and seeing the shows going on this weekend in the States and how like well run they were, and it's just really sort of restoring faith, and I'm so excited, so excited just to see what the rest of the year brings. So, I mean,
lockdown, I think a lot of people said it either make you or break you. I was looking on your Instagram as well today, and you said that you'd really kind of, it'd been good for you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so At first, it was one of those where I was like, oh my God, this is really quite scary because the world has changed so quickly.
Yeah, it's intense, wasn't it?
I went to Australia to do the Arnold's Australia and it got cancelled. And then I was stuck out there.
Oh, no. Oh, you were stuck in Australia?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's worse. I think I can think of worse places to be stuck. Like,
I think worse places.
Yeah.
I've really kind of used this time as a time of reflection. And really just, sort of working on myself, how to be a better athlete, better person, better coach. So I'm really excited to sort of come out of lockdown and really sort of hit the ground running. Yeah.
So go back to Jordan Peters and Corinne. Because I know they like their heavy overload training. How is your what kind of training have they implemented, and how has it affected your physique?
So it's more so for me exercise selection.
Okay.
We really do utilise sort of progressive overload and sort of making sure we're getting enough rest, adequate rest. But I think it's like exercise selection for me, and sort of like stripping things back and finding what really works for my body. And I did find that has been sort of a real difference when I sort of look at physique. So
that style of training and everything really suits your physique?
And yeah, an exercise selection.
Yeah. Okay, so apart from the Alicante, have you got any other shows planned? I mean, I imagine you've probably got half a dozen if they're available.
Well, I was looking at some shows in the States, maybe for Chicago again, but again, with the whole travel restrictions, I'm not sure what's going to be. So at the moment, it's let's hit Alicante and see.
Do you think you can win Alicante?
Oh God, I don't know.
God, come on!
I always go into
far too nice. This girl. I want to hear some aggression.
Be the best free we can be, and whatever happens is a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at your physique, and I mean, your thing is you've come up so fast. Your physique's progressed so fast. What do you think you need to do to improve it to kind of win multiple pro shows? Because I think you can.
Oh, amazing. I think my focal point is definitely my legs at the moment. I got really cool feedback from the judges after the Arnolds in terms of they saw the improvement from the Olympia to the Arnolds, and they were just like a bit excited on those legs.
Did you say cool or cruel?
Cool.
Cool. Sorry, I was like cruel feedback. Your legs are shit. Sorry, good. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to clarify that. Cruel feedback. I've never heard of that one, Kaleem.
Yeah, so it will just sort of keep on working on my legs, to really balance everything out, and let's see what happens. Yeah.
Have you trained legs with Corinne?
Oh, do you know what? That is, I really want to.
Haven't you haven't trained legs with Corinne yet?
I haven't yet.
So can I just explain some context? Corinne Inwang, she's a women's physique pro. She was trained figure in NABBA. She's the partner of Jordan Peters, trained by JP. She's was a power lifter, like bodybuilder, and I mean she's got some crazy quads, isn't she? I mean, I've seen them training, both of them training. They're just I mean, there's a reason why they're so kind of globally popular at the moment, because they're just really hardcore. I think who's the more hardcore out of them two?
Oh.
Come on, well, you're a girl, so you got to say Corinne.
I'm going to go for Corinne. I think she's awesome.
Yeah,
leading the way for the females. But
and also with the Olympia, who do you think is going to win the Olympia this year?
Ooh.
Let's talk figure, and then we'll go open.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, it's hard because like the top the top six this year, last year, was absolutely incredible. But there's just something about Sid that just she's just flawless, absolutely flawless. Oh, it's amazing. She's amazing.
I'm a real Sydney fanboy.
Yeah,
I'm just she's absolutely amazing. I'm speaking to her later next week actually. I think is Latoya Watts coming back this year? Is she competing again? Yeah.
I hope so. It was absolutely incredible to see her there last year.
Yeah.
So hopefully she does, and hopefully one day Candice does as well.
Yeah, because Candice says she's retired now. She's done.
I know.
Yeah. What about Jessica Reyes-Padilla? Do you think she's good?
I think she's incredible. I think she's absolutely incredible. And yeah, absolutely.
I think her and Sydney have got the best walks ever.
Yes.
Because think with a figure, it's quarter turns, but the first impression that there's that slow walk that actually does factor into. It's a big part. if any figure competitor doesn't concentrate on their walk when they come out, they are missing out on an opportunity.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes, this is exactly what I say to my posing clients as well. Like, it's that first impression, holding yourself when you walk, because that's the first thing the judges are going to see. The first thing they're not going to see is the pose, because you actually have to get to that pose. So I 100% agree, that walk.
So you have, are you a posing coach or a nutrition and training or everything?
So I do both. I do online coaching, lifestyle and contest prep, and then also posing coaching. Lifestyle,
what does that mean?
So anyone that doesn't want to get on stage, whether they just want to change habits. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that for? What,
I've been doing that 2 years now. 2 years.
Is it going well?
And then I sort of went full time last year.
Yeah. Is it going well?
Yeah, all good. Lockdown is really sort of like, in a way, it's been a blessing in disguise, because it's been an opportunity to really connect with more people. In this circumstance. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to coming out of it and helping more people.
Yeah, because I'm up in the north. I'm up in Yorkshire, and I'm kind of in the countryside. So literally, apart from no gym, I've been completely unaffected because I can work from home. I don't really. You know, it's apart from no Nando's and no cinema, it's like I'm pretty much, my life is unchanged. It's just, but I feel like really like in London, like, I mean, I've seen on the news, and I've spoken to friends, and, you know, it's a whole different ball game down there.
Yeah, it's things are opening up a little bit more, but it's still very much you're restricted in what you do. Like, travel has to be essential. They do kind of check if you're on the train, like sort of where are you going? You're going to work. So it is still a little bit, but I'm hoping that things ease a little bit more if cases don't spike too much.
Yeah, hopefully. I just think, do you know what, the last I would say 3-4 years, the British bodybuilding, you know, figure, everything, bikini scene has completely exploded. I mean, we've got so many good athletes right now, haven't we?
It's exciting. It's an absolutely exciting time right now.
Yeah, because I've seen you train at Muscleworks Orpington. I mean, I took Brandon Curry, I took Phil Heath there. It's and that's a really big kind of bodybuilding, gym, and you know, it's like we've got so many good athletes. Have you seen the recent pictures of James Hollinshead at 298 pounds lean?
My goodness.
What the hell has happened? Whatever he's eating, I want half of it.
Oh my goodness. Literally, I think it was this morning actually, he posted it up. I was like, it's like James has eaten James. Like he night and day difference.
Yeah.
He looks absolutely phenomenal, and it will be awesome to see him in Alicante and see what he can do. Like,
of course, because he's doing Alicante as well. Oh, Alicante is going to be a good show. Milo Martinez, promoter. That's going to be a really good show. Really good show. With regards to James, I think like I said, the lockdown making or breaking people. Also, with Luke dying, I think those two things helped him. Not helped him, but I think he chose to like just shut the rest of the world and really immerse himself in his body. Because I know when people go through hard times, sometimes a contest prep can actually really help people get through it, because it gives them structure, it gives them purpose, it gives them something to go after every day and focus on, and not sit staring at the wall, you know, kind of, you know. And I just think it's really, it's nice to see something so positive, not just James, but the way everyone's kind of connected over Luke. And I think it's really, I think it's really, really lovely, and I think it's brought everyone closer together, certainly in the UK, if not globally.
100% agree. Everyone's sort of really reaching out and looking out for each other since that tragedy happened. It was such a shame, such a loss for bodybuilding.
I know. Do you remember? I remember the day when it was Flex Lewis called me, and I know he swerved off the road when he rang me. It was like I couldn't process it. You know, it was just such a shock, because I know, it's just, but that day, I mean, I had so many phone calls, and everyone, you could sense that everyone was checking on everyone, and you know, because I was like, oh, what about Banji? What about James? And I was thinking about John Thurston. I was thinking, is he okay? And you know, it was just, and I could tell that everyone was doing the same for each other, you know. So it was, that was quite reassuring, I think. Yeah. So, right, okay, well, I'm really excited for Alicante. It's going to be such a cool. I think that's going to be a really, really big show, because I messaged Emilio today and I said, what categories have you? And he sent me the And I was like, wow, you got nearly all of them. You know, it's open 212 figure. Is it classic I saw on there, bikini? So, and then obviously you've got the amateur show as well, haven't you?
Yes.
So yeah,
it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be like a celebration. Everyone coming back together, and it's going to be amazing.
Yep. I better beef up, get on the beach because I've got a bit skinny in lockdown. I'm not going to lie. So hopefully it looks like we'll have a good British team there as well. So okay then, Rhea. Well, thank you for coming on. I was I've been watching you on social media for the last, certainly I think it was definitely since the Olympia. I started paying closer attention to your progress and how you're doing and where you're going, and you seem to be doing everything right. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do, because that's what will move you forward and move you up. Because literally, you are. I think I think you could win Alicante. I really do.
Oh my god, amazing! Thank you so much.
I really do. Dinner's on you though, if it does afterwards. Yeah. Okay. And I'm bringing all my team, so you'll have to pay for them as well. So. Right. Okay. Then any thank yous or any sponsors you'd like to shout out?
I just want to shout out Trained by JP, my sponsors, Trained by JP Nutrition and Trained by JP Clothing.
Okay, cool.
And, thank you so much for me.
Yeah, no problem at all, Rhea. Okay then, if I don't see you before, I'll see you in Alicante. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by, all the way from Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
John Meadows. Yay! John, how are you, mate?
Man, this is pretty wild. Like, I just woke up from a nap, and you guys are all wild and wound up and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. So I will confess, we've had a couple of technical issues. It was my fault last couple of weeks, and we've had to reschedule. So I felt I'd like to apologize because I really wanted to get you on, and I thought, this guy's going to think I'm really starting to mess him about now. So thank you for coming on and being patient with us. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. I know you've done this before, so that's okay.
Once or twice. Okay, John. Wow, where do I start? Because there's so much to cover, because you're an IFBB professional. You're very, very well respected trainer. You prep. I mean, you train Missy. Is it Sean Clarida as well?
I've done his training now for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So Missy, who else? Tell us some of your athletes.
Well, I work with Terrence Ruffin. I think you know Terrence.
Mm-hmm.
And I still work with Fuad. He hasn't competed in a while, but he won his first 2 shows with training with me, and then he got a second show after that. Sean Clarida was actually training with me when he won his first show. Mm-hmm. I used to work a lot more with Mark Dugdale, and he won his first maybe 4 or 5 shows. He was on a lot of my programming and things like that.
He was awesome. Mark Dugdale was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because I've worked with some people who kind of thought their careers were just about over and they weren't going to win, and then they turned around and started winning. So that was pretty cool. It's always nice when you can get kind of a genetic freak and continue their path. But, when you get somebody that isn't necessarily sure they're going to win and they turn around and win, that's a pretty rewarding feeling to be able to do that, because that was me, right? I've been there. I know what it's like to think, man, I can't get over this hump. Like, I just can't get over it. I just keep getting second place and whatever. Then when you get over it, it's just a really good feeling. It's a great feeling. So I'm very happy to have had that opportunity with several people.
I can tell. I mean, even if I didn't know a lot about you, I would point to people like Sean Clarida and Terrence Ruffin, who've just fair play what you did with Terrence Ruffin this year. I mean, he was like 9th at the Olympia, then I think he was 5th or 6th. And then he turned up to the Arnold Classic because he was one of the smaller guys. He's one of those guys that always looked amazing by himself. And I remember when I saw him in the Olympia a couple of years ago, and I was like, when he looked great by himself, but he looked really outsized when he was next to the Brions and the Chris Bumstead. And then he turned up to the Arnold Classic this year, and I was to be honest, I was talking to Mayla. Was it Mayla Ash? Mayla Ash, earlier on today. She's in this episode. And she was saying, like, Terrence, because she really likes the classic bodybuilders, and she was saying, like, Terrence Ruffin's, like, that's her, like, perfect physique, I mean, there's a guy now who's 0.2 pounds under the classic limit. How do you think you could improve him? Because he said he wants to stay in classic, but he's really on the limit now. So how are you going to manage to improve his physique with your training methods but with not changing his body weight? How are you going to do that?
Well, when he hits his poses, he, to me, does look like classic. Like his body, to me, like that's what a classic bodybuilder should look like. But his legs are still a little bit ahead of his upper body. Like, for example, his quad sweep is just a little bit ahead of his chest and shoulders. I told him in the Arnold Classic that the fellow who placed ahead of him, had a bigger chest.
Cambradero.
Yeah. He had a bigger chest. That was pretty much it. That was the only advantage I thought he had over Terrence. Mm-hmm. So our goal heading into the Olympia was, to get more balance in his body, which meant a little bit more upper body. Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't have to really push hard to make weight. He's already at his heaviest he's ever been right now. So I'm very confident that you're going to see some improvements in his size. He's going to have to work a little harder to make weight this time.
Right.
He only had to go through maybe a half a day of, I would even call it suffering. He had to just be careful with what he drank for half a day. But if the Olympia happens, which God willing it'll happen in December, then he's going to have to work a little harder to make weight. But I think, the nice thing at the Olympia is you get 2 days. At least it used to be, unless they change it. You weigh in, and then you have plenty of time to make adjustments. That's one of the reasons why I always wanted to do it. I had to kill myself to make weight, and I wish I would have had that 2 days to get that look back.
Well, remember in the early 212 days, like Kevin English I think they weighed him in on the Wednesday, and they had like 2 or 3 days to fill out. So by the time they hit the stage, someone like Kevin English, when it was 202, was probably more like 220 by the time Friday or Saturday hit.
That's right. So we'll see what happens with Terrence. I'm looking forward to it. Missy is coming strong too. As you know, in her class, there's a lot of champions that are coming back. Mm-hmm. So she's going to have her hands full. But you know what? Those other girls are going to have their hands full with Missy too, because she's working unbelievably hard right now. She's very disciplined, and I think she's going to do real well.
Well, Missy, for me, because she was second at the Olympia last year, when she was at the Arnold Classic, because she came out in the physique round, and for me, she was streets ahead. And I know how good her routines are. And as soon as I saw the physique round, I said, she's got this, because even if her routine is okay, which I know it's going to be more than okay, she's won this by comfortably. And that's the Arnold Classic. I mean, her physique has absolutely transformed in the last 2 years. It's unbelievable what you've done with her as well. I mean, Terrence Ruffin and Missy Truscott, there's 2 potential Olympia champions in your camp.
Yeah, that's nice, and I would like for them to win. I don't really care about all those accolades myself, but they're good people. I would just like to see them win.
Yeah. So who else do you work with at the moment then?
You know what? I've got a lot of business activities, and I don't work with as many people as I used to. If you asked me 5 years ago, I had 220 clients.
What?
And I shaved it way down. I make it very difficult to train with me now.
215 now.
Just because I believe that everybody deserves really good treatment, and I never wanted to be one of those coaches that has a lot of people, and then he takes care of a certain few, and then the other ones kind of get by the wayside. And just to be honest with you, that's what happens a lot now. So I keep my numbers way down. I can't give you some impressive. I'm sure if I sat here, I could probably think of 10 people, pros that I work with, but I try to just keep the numbers down now so everybody can get a lot of attention. And I almost just started working with Keon. Ultimately he went with
Keon
my
Pearson.
buddy in Canada.
Wow. To be honest, I would say that's one of the biggest transformations I've ever seen from the Arnold Classic last year to the New York Pro. I mean, the guy, in 2 months, I've never seen a transformation like that.
Yeah, he's got a bright future, doesn't he? Good kid. He's working with Dorian now. I know Dorian will do a great job.
Sorry to interrupt. What would he weigh on stage now with the physique he has right now? What do you think he would weigh in the 212? He's packing it on.
Probably 190 to 195.
Oh, he's light.
Yeah. Oh, he's very light. Yeah.
Wow. Do you think he's got the best front double bicep in the game right now? Because I think it's arguable.
He is dangerous for the 212. He is dangerous for the 212. Yes.
And he's like Sean Clarida because he still has so much room to grow. Like he could put another 10 pounds on and he'll still be 7 pounds under the weight limit.
Well, and he's got the frame to handle it too. You know, I always hated competing against guys like him. Like, you know, he like looks good standing there, but then when he hits a pose, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. Like, oh, that's trouble.
Yeah. I just think because Sean Clarida, if there's ever sort of an example of someone that is constantly proving and moving forward and moving up. I mean, he always posts his progression pictures from the Olympias. And he's like 16th, 9th, 7th, you know, 3rd. And it's like every year he's like 8 pounds heavier, 6 pounds heavier, 7 pounds. And he really, do you think Sean could win the 212 Olympia?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely he could. Sean is a workhorse.
Yeah.
Sean is a workhorse. Like you know, I've done his training. I used to do his diet. When he was winning his first shows, I was doing his diet, but I just do his training now. But the thing that I worry about with him is, you know, sometimes you just got to be careful. I got to pull him back a little bit.
In what way?
But in training, like he's all out. You know, Sean's all out. Like he isn't holding back. And he's got a tremendous work ethic. You know, sometimes his elbows start getting a little bit beat up, and he's also really, really strong.
Yeah.
He's really strong. I mean, he does dumbbell presses with 130, 140 pounds.
And what does he weigh on stage?
On stage? Oh, man, he's still he's not even close to the limit. He's probably still around high 180s, I believe.
That's crazy.
He's not even close to the limit, you know. He's got incredibly strong quads. He's a strong squatter. He's a strong presser. I mean, you know, we've trained together at New York, and we trained together here before. But you know, you just sit there and he's a machine, man. Yeah, he's a real good guy too. You know, you'd like to see him do well because he's one of those guys. I remember when I started coaching him back in 2014 or 15, and you know, I would bring his name up to people, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you know, maybe someday he'll place in a pro show. He's probably too small."
Yeah.
And just to see him win, I was actually in the show that he won, his first show.
Was at Dallas.
And just to see him win and to see how far he's come, like now people are like, okay, now he's dangerous. Like,
yeah.
And it's great for people to see that because no one ever thought that he could be where he's at now. And just watching him do that should be inspirational for people, really.
I think when he hits that frontal bicep, it reminds me of like a 99 flex wheeler crossed with a bit of Ronnie Coleman the kind of freaky round muscle that jumps off the bone. Because, I mean, at last year's Olympia, he did stand out in the lineup just relaxed, but he never used to. But when he actually comes out and hits a pose, everything just pops. And the crazy lines in his hamstrings and his quads from the side, and because every single year he's just got bigger and better. I just hope that he manages to keep that midsection, and that's my only fear with Sean.
Yeah, you know, a frame can only hold so much muscle, right?
Yeah.
And you know, he's probably getting near that top of what his frame can hold. You know, we'll see, but that's a legitimate concern. You don't want people to kind of blow out their frame, right? So yeah, he's a smart guy though. He's, you know, I'm not really working on his diet with him anymore, but he's a smart guy, and I think he knows better than that, and I got full faith in him.
Yeah. So regards to, I mean, you're very, very well respected, internationally well known as a trainer, actual trainer of, you know, what percentage of clients do you train, and what percentage do you do the diet? Because you've mentioned there you did diets. I didn't actually know that you did that many preps. What's the percentage now?
It's always been all over the board.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
It's always been all over the board. Some people, you know, I got a guy in Louisiana, Chase.
Yeah.
You know, Chase, he's in physique, Chase Savoy.
I don't know him, no.
Like I'll do his training. I'll do Sean's training. Fred Smalls, I'm doing his training. Like there's a lot of people. You know what's funny is when I put my programs on sale, it's really funny is I'll see all the receipts coming through, and there'll be like 20, 30 pros that are buying them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because you get to see the name.
Yeah. So, But then there's some people that I just do their diet, like Terrence Ruffin. I actually just do his diet.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
There's a guy named Joe Bennett that lives right there with him in town, and they train together. So, you know, and Missy last year, like I initially just did her training, and then I started doing her diet. She was working with a really top-notch coach, helping her for years with her nutrition. So, you know, it's all over the board. Some people I do it all. Some people I do one. Some people I do the other. And I've always felt like those two things, like your nutrition and training, they need to match. Like, training needs to support nutrition in a certain way. Like, let me give you an example. Like if someone says, okay, I want to do some crazy high volume training, that's fine, but your nutrition needs to match that. Yeah. You know, or if someone gets excessively sore or whatever, they don't recover well, then you've got to make some changes to your nutrition to remedy that, right? But so I've always felt like you can't just be a diet coach or a training coach. You really need to understand, in order to be the best, you really got to understand how they work together. It's really easy for people who don't put a lot of thought into training to just say, well, just do whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I know like in, say, in Q8 where they'll have a trainer and a diet, and the guys actually have to work together. They'll, like, say, Chris Aceto will work with that person's trainer, and they'll liaise with each other to try and decide what the best nutrition suits that best training. So do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always going to want to know, like, let's say I'm working with somebody just on a training. Yeah. I always need to know, okay, just let me know how you're eating, because that may impact how we do your training. And vice versa. If I'm just doing someone's training, then I'm going to, if I'm just doing their training or their nutrition, I'm going to say, well, how are you training? What kind of volume are you using? What kind of frequency are you using? You know, give me an idea of, you know, what your intensity's like, how much of your volume is actually to failure, you know, how much of your volume is beyond failure. Like, those are all basic things you have to know to see the whole picture. So you know, there's definitely that element to it as well.
Has your knowledge purely come from your own experience as a competitor?
Oh no, no. If it was my own experience, then people would all be eating egg whites and ketchup on their diets like I have.
Okay, tell me why.
Listen, the most important thing is the principle of individuality. We're all a little different. We all respond differently to little changes in training, to nutrition. And I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Yeah. I think that a one-size-fits-all approach does work well for many people, but it doesn't cover everybody. You know, and I've always taken a lot of pride in the fact that I may not put 1 million people out there, but the people I put out there, they're going to look good and they're going to have a program for them. I'm not going to put 2 champions out there, but then 20 people who don't make the top 15. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I've been in, my first competition was in 1985. 1985. And I've worked with, you know, over the years, I've started training people in college. You know, I'm 48 years old now. I've worked with thousands of people. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that people are different. Yeah. Some people handle more carbs than other people. Some people can handle more carbs well. Some people can handle a little more fat. Some people have to go low fat, you know. I could give you examples of people across the board who their diets that I've done is totally different. You know, I get a Josh Wade. You know, I've worked with Josh now for many years. Have you ever seen Josh Wade out of shape at a pro show?
Not once.
No. And look at how many shows he does.
Yes, very true, right? Very true. Because he's not the most genetically gifted guy, and he's a little bit older, but he does well in contests. He's a good pro.
Well, Josh was another guy who turned pro at the same show that I turned pro, and everybody said, well, I don't know if he's going to be able to place in pro shows. Well, he's placed in a lot of pro shows, and he's an Olympian. Yes. And Josh doesn't have beautiful genetics. Yeah. He doesn't have like Keon genetics, right? He doesn't have that. But we have methodically put muscle on him and brought him in shape. And that's because I use an approach with him that's tailored to him. It's not the same approach I used with Fouad Abiad when he won his first 2 shows. And it's very different than what I used with Sean Clarita when he won his first show. Yeah. So all 3 of those guys, it wasn't here's the blueprint that we use for everybody. It was every one of those guys had a different style of dieting.
How do you stumble across the unique exercises that you can call like the meadow rows? Because I'll be honest, when I hear of kind of trainers and they say they kind of adopt this exercise as their own. I think sometimes they do it just for the sake of coming out with something different. Like, oh, do a shoulder press on a leg press machine. I'm thinking, really? Can't you just use a shoulder press? I sometimes feel like they're just doing it to have a gimmick. Where do you get the where do you get the ideas to do these exercises? And do you think are they a gimmick? That's what I'm asking.
Well, the way I get those thoughts is because I sucked, right? So
right.
I had a terrible back. Mm-hmm. If you look at pictures early in my career, I had a very poor back, and I did the Lee Haney routine. I did the pull downs. I did the barbell rows. I did everything Lee Haney said.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me. And it's not because exercises didn't work. It's because they just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I did, I've done a lot of one-arm barbell rows that I've kind of popularized as well. That's
mm-hmm.
a completely different kind of row. I've got different kinds of pull downs that are a little different. But the answer is I had to think of something a little different because what I was using wasn't working.
Yeah.
And, I hear a lot of these people say, well, just do this. Just do this. All you got to do is benches, squats, and deadlifts.
Yeah.
Well, that's great if it works for you, but it didn't work for me, and it doesn't work for everybody else.
That's what I was like for many years. It was like I did the same leg workout for like 20 years. It was squats, leg press, leg extension. And I pretty much stuck with that because I believe that's what I was told. That's what Eddie Robinson did. That's what, Kevin Levrone did, and it'll work for me. And it kind of did, but I think maybe there was, especially when getting ready for a show, maybe there is a better way to sort of build your physique, with different techniques.
Well, I think there is, and I keep up to date on the science, and there's a lot that has come out on training as well. But mm-hmm. I think more than anything, what I've figured out over the last, amount of years is that there are just certain exercises that work really well for people. So you got to find those exercises. Those back exercises that you're mentioning work really well for me. I ended up having a really thick, wide back later in my career. And I think that's the key. I think the key is you just forget what other people are doing. Find the exercises that work for you. And then you got to figure out what intensity to work at. Like on leg. My favorite exercise is always squats. Like,
yep, love them.
I'm built to squat. I have a short femur. I have a wide pelvic girdle. Like, I squatted around 800 pounds.
800 pounds?
I mean, I powerlifted. I've got a YouTube video of me powerlifting 6 plates for reps with just a belt on.
Not using those Gold Gym fake plates then? You promise me?
I don't remember having any fake plates.
That's I'm just joking. Yeah.
I could do an 800 pound squat now, but it would involve a lot of fake plates. Sure.
That's a really good answer.
But I love squats, but I'm built for them. Some guys don't feel that comfortable under the bar doing a squat. And then I got to a point where I got old and beat up, and I can't squat with a bar on my back anymore. So I had to adjust. And you know what? When that happened, it was in 2013. I was still squatting. I remember Antoine was training with me. Antoine, you asked people that work with me. Antoine won his pro card in Canada training with me.
Okay.
Antoine was actually going to move here, and I was going to mentor him and coach him. And then that's when he kind of fell off the deep end. Yeah. And I'm glad to see him back. But Antoine was here, and Antoine will tell you, I was squatting 500 pounds for 10 to 15 reps every week.
Wow.
And then in the next year after that, all of a sudden I couldn't even put a bar on my back. It just didn't feel right. So I had to start doing more pendulum squats, more hack squats, and my legs got even bigger. I stopped squatting and my legs actually grew more.
Wow.
So I think sometimes we get in our head this impression that we have to do certain exercises, but
I was guilty of that. I was guilty of that.
Work for you.
Yeah, I was guilty. I remember being in total in shock when Paul Dillette said, he says, I just do leg presses as my main exercises for legs. I was like, no, you can't build good legs with just leg presses and no squats. You can't do it. And then Dorian I don't even do barbell squats. I do hack squat and Smith machine squat. And I like it with my legs right out in front because it suits with my length of my femurs. He said, that's what works for me. And I was like, no, barbell squats, no. But I saw a video on your Instagram. It was at the yoke. Is it called the yoke squat?
Yeah.
Was that recent?
It was.
What was that?
I was actually using a spider bar. A spider bar is like a yoke bar. It's like a safety squat bar, but it also has a camber.
Okay.
So
it sounds cool.
It's really hard. The weight sits down lower, but I love that bar. Spider bar's phenomenal.
Cool. Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah. So because the reason I'm asking if it was recent because obviously the big news a few weeks ago was you had a heart attack. Tell us about that. How did that even come about? What was that? Was it genetic or what? Because you seem like a quite healthy guy, and and you're training and you're fit. And it was a big shock when the industry heard that news. And how are you now?
Yeah, I mean, it was May 11th. Wasn't that long ago, right? And we were on quarantine. The gyms were all closed, and I was training. I had found a little garage to do a little workout that day. I was doing a really light workout, and I got up from the bench, and it felt like someone hit me in the chest with a hammer. It hurt really bad in my sternum, and I thought, man, this doesn't feel good. Like, this doesn't feel good at all.
Did you think it was like a tear or something?
No, I actually thought I had bruised my sternum. I thought maybe I lowered the bar too hard on my chest and I hit my sternum is what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I had a bruised sternum many, many years ago, and it was painful.
Yeah.
It was very painful. So I just thought, I'm going to sit here. It'll go away. And then I had a hard time breathing. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Why am I having a hard time breathing? I'm just sitting here. And then I told my friend who was with me, I said, man, I need to go home. Just take me home. Something doesn't feel right. And he looked at me. He's like, are you sure you want to go home? Are you sure we shouldn't call a squad? And I could feel my left arm getting kind of tingly. And that's and when that happened.
I thought it was the right. I thought it was the right.
No, the left arm.
Oh, okay. So
when that happened, maybe it is the right. I thought it was the left. But I can tell you my left arm was one tingling.
Okay.
But when that happened, I was like, oh, no, call the squad. And they got there, and they hooked the EKG up, and I had what's called ST elevation. That's when you can see the big blips going up. It's called a STEMI, an ST elevation, myocardial infarction. And so, he's got me hooked up, and I said, what's going on? He said, you're having a heart attack.
Oh, shit. Was it a big one?
All I could think about was my kids, honestly. I thought, I've told this story before. I don't mind sharing it. I just said, man, I got two 11-year-old kids that are going to have to grow up without a dad now. And I was just like sad. I was really sad because I didn't want my kids to have to grow up without a dad. I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a mom. And what I always take a lot of pride in is trying to be a good parent. I got a lot of room to grow, but I try to be a good dad. And I thought, here we go. Now my kids aren't going to have a dad. So they got me to the hospital. They rushed me in. I went to the unit that's called the cath lab. That's where they put essentially a catheter in your brachial artery all the way from your arm into your chest. And he said, you've got a 100% blood clot in your left descending artery, which is your widowmaker. That's bad. That's really bad. And then there was another clot that was off of one of the branches of the artery, but it was 100% blocked. And he's like, you're really lucky you called the squad. Like, if you would have went home and just tried to sleep it off, you wouldn't have woke up.
Whoa.
And so they gave me blood thinning medication, IV heparin, and it melted the clots. It took about a day and a half.
Yeah.
And the clots went away. But my heart took a beating. I mean, when that happens, he said it's the equivalent of running a marathon and then resting 5 minutes and then running another marathon. That's how much of a beating it is on your heart.
Because every time you have a heart attack, doesn't it leave some sort of tears and damage? Like if you have
It can.
Yeah, okay.
It can for sure. And I don't really know yet. But I had just 3 years ago, I had a calcium score test done because I try to be mindful of my health.
Yeah. And
it detects hard plaques in your arteries. And it was great. And then for this incident, they stuck a camera down my throat. It's called a transesophageal electrocardiogram, and they can see plaque and all kinds of things. And so they did that, and the guy said, no, your heart's clean. Like, we don't see plaques. We see a little teeny bit in your aorta, but that's consistent with your age. And
what caused it?
Well, there was a blood clot, and he checked the size of my heart, and he even said your heart's normal size.
Yeah.
So then we go into this wild goose chase. Why would you have a blood clot? And if you know about my history, in 2005, I had a blood clot that lodged in my colon, and it ended up rupturing the vein. The vein basically blew up, and I was bleeding to death. I don't have a colon. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I don't have a colon. So when you see me competing and the scars on my stomach, that's because I had 6 surgeries. So that's what I had to come back from, right?
Wow. Okay.
Some people know that about me, some don't.
Yeah.
So I probably should have been on a blood thinner back then. And so I'm on a blood thinner now, and my blood pressure has always been really good. I mean, it's always like 118, 115 over 75.
What about your cholesterol, HDL, L to LDL? What's the ratio like?
Been tracking it for 21 years closely. Honestly, my HDL is up and down. It'll go from 35 to 50 to back down to 35 to 50. It's never been that bad. Yeah. My triglycerides have always been in range. My LDL has been a little high, like just a little bit out of range.
Yeah.
Problems from a bad lipid panel, though, that creates plaque in your arteries. So that's why I had a calcium score test done, because my LDL was a little elevated. When I say a little, I mean just barely outside the norm. That's why I had that calcium score test done. Like, a lipid panel is great, but when you can actually see what's inside, that's what really matters.
Yeah.
Because the LDL, HDL, all that's debatable. LDL, I mean, there's all kinds of theories on particle size and if it's oxidized or not. I don't want to waste your guys' time talking about that, but now my LDL, you know, I mean, I'm watching it. It's not that I don't care, but you know, like I said, that's why I had the calcium score test done, because my lipid panel was not perfect. I can't sit here and tell you it was perfect. So I said, well, let me go to the next level. Let me get a scan done so they can actually see what's going on in there.
So what I mean, you're back training now. So what, have you on any medication now, or are you having to do anything differently? Because that must have been a big scare, mate. Really big scare.
They loaded me up on medicines, man, and honestly, I did not feel good. They gave me 3 blood pressure medications when I came out.
Yeah.
They gave me an ACE inhibitor, they gave me a beta blocker, and they gave me a calcium channel blocker. Oh. That's like, I think they just treat me like, I think they just have this formula. If you have a heart attack, they just give everybody the same medicine.
Yeah.
So they gave me 3 medicines. Now, remember me telling you that my blood pressure was always really good.
Yeah.
So I get home, and anytime I'm sitting down, I stand up and I almost pass out.
It's too low.
My blood pressure's so low.
It's so low, yeah. So
it's so low. So my blood pressure was like 95 over 60, and you know, I tell my doctor, who's not my cardiologist, my doctor and I, we had some disagreements. Not me and him, but I didn't want to take the calcium channel blocker. Neither did Eric, my doctor. He said, drop the calcium channel blocker. So I immediately felt better. When I dropped that, I immediately felt better. So I only took 16 days off from the gym. Then I got back in the gym.
16 days.
Yeah, he said, I want you to wait 6 weeks, the cardiologist. And I said, nah.
Sorry, what was that, 16 days? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I started careful.
Gotcha.
I was very careful. I wasn't breathing hard. I wasn't holding my breath doing the Valsalva maneuver or anything like that.
Yeah.
But as of about 7 to 10 days ago, I've been training with no restriction.
Okay.
I've been training hard. I've been training really hard. And I actually called my doctor yesterday, Dr. Serrano, and I said, I've been training really hard, man. Are you sure I'm still good? He's like, how do you feel? And I said, I feel awesome. I feel totally normal. He said, keep it up. Don't stop.
So have you reached out to anyone in the industry? Because I mean, if they're putting you on all this medication, obviously with all the access and all the contacts and all the people you know in the industry, have you reached out to anyone to sort of say, because I remember a few years ago, I put on the MD forum, I had problems with my cholesterol. It was really high. And Dennis James DM'd me and he said, look, Giles, because the doctor wanted to put me on statins. And I said, I don't want to go on statins. I just rather try and, because I think it was oral steroids. I was on Winstrol at the time. And I thought, as soon as I come off that, it'll drop. And it did, a little bit. But Dennis James said, look, there's something I've done with my clients, because I sent him over my data and my blood test readings. And he said, acetyl L-carnitine and high dose non-flush niacin, like I think it was 1,000, I'm sure it was like 1,000 milligram, with very high dose. And he said that will really, really bring your cholesterol and help your HDL, LDL levels out. And so has anyone helped you with that? Because I mean, pumping you full of medication, which is gonna, like you said, it made you feel like crap. You know, it's the side effects.
Oh yeah. You know what was amazing was when that all happened to me, I had doctors from all over the world reaching out to me. Like,
really?
Is there all over the world? It was amazing. They're like, you know, I follow your YouTube and you've helped me, so I'd love to be able to help you.
Wow.
So
nice.
Anytime I have like a little update, I got this little list of doctors that reached out to me and I sent them a note. And there was a really nice fellow in Australia that reached out to me. There were some other ones in Canada, but I really appreciated that. But Yeah, I mean, I've got really good supplementation. The ubiquinol at 400 milligrams is great for restoring ejection fraction, and carnitine, D-ribose, all this stuff. So I've got a.
Are you using which carnitine are you using?
I use a liquid form of L-carnitine. I take so many daggone pills. I just take.
Sorry, is it the tartrate or the L-carnitine?
No, the L-carnitine.
Oh, the L-carnitine, not the tartrate. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. What if I had a single one supplement that I think is the best? It's probably the ubiquinol. That's a reduced form of CoQ10.
Okay, coenzyme Q10.
Yeah, that one has a lot of evidence behind it in preventing a second heart attack and restoring ejection fraction in your heart. That's a really good supplement for those who are a little concerned about their heart.
Okay, I'm really. It's nice to hear that so many doctors around the world reached out to help you. People you didn't really know, because May the 11th, obviously 4 days before we lost Luke Sando. So that was a rough week to hear. To have that shock hit the industry, and obviously the pandemic was kind of, it was shutting the world down. 5 days later, whatever, we heard about you. That was a really tough week, but it's kind of reassuring in a way to hear that people were reaching out to help you. Because I know when Luke, everyone all over the world was contacting each other. People were really, really like trying to connect and support each other, and it really, I know for a fact there was some couple of people. It healed relationships. It got them talking again. So it's nice to hear that something positive can come out of such a horrible week. I think it says a lot for the industry.
There's several things that entered my mind. First of all, the thing with Luke, I think we were in just shock.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. I don't even know how else to describe it. Shocking and terrible. I had a lot of people on my YouTube ask me, should I see someone? I'm a little mentally.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get depressed. I had a lot of people on my YouTube ask me that, and I don't know if I helped any of them, but I tried to. And
you tried to. That's the main thing, and the fact that they've actually reached out to you is a big thing for them. Part of their, the fact they're admitting it and kind of facing up to it, because when something like that happens, it does it shines a light on things like mental health. Because I remember in season 1, and I was going through a bit of a rough time, and I talked about it a lot with my co-host at the time, and the amount of people that started reaching out to both of us, and really, and we all you do is you just chat to them, and then a couple of months later they say, oh well, I got that Jordan Peterson book, I got myself some, I kind of changed my routine and stopped some bad habits, got rid of some toxic elements in my life, and it really kind of so that it's nice, it's good to hear, man.
Yeah. And I tell these guys, like, listen, man, don't be embarrassed. We're all human, man.
Yeah.
We all have issues. I could have very easily, the only people that knew about my heart attack was my wife and the guy I was training with. Okay. I could have very easily not even told anybody.
Okay.
And just played it off, right? That's not my style. I've always been honest with people. I've always been 100% straightforward. And I'm glad I did. There was a guy, it was probably 2 weeks later, and I got a message from a guy. He said, I saw your heart attack video, and 3 days later I was in the gym, and I felt the same thing you were describing.
Yeah.
And he said, I remember you saying that it was time to ask for help. It was time to call for help is what I said.
Yeah.
He said, so I got help. I went straight to the emergency room, and he had like 4 arteries that were blocked.
Whoa, he saved his life.
And so, he writes me this very kind letter, and he says, when I was in pain, I just kept remembering your video, call for help. So I called for help. I think about the guys we've lost. What if they decided to? Now, I don't know what happened in each case, but there's probably people that have had a heart attack that just said, "Oh, I'm going to sleep it off, or I'll be okay."
Yeah.
Instead of getting help, and maybe if someone would have reached out, maybe they'd still be alive. I don't know. That's something that has went through my head a lot.
I think that went through, especially with Luke. That went through a lot. I mean, I've spoke to obviously people very close to him. And they went through a period of like, well, I wish I'd rang him that day, or I wish I'd done this. And I said, guys, it's nothing you could have done. I said, it was just what happened. That series of events happened. I said, that chain of events. I said, nothing really, don't blame yourself. It's just something that happened that was terrible, was awful. What can we really learn from it? Probably not much, apart from if you're having struggles, reach out to people, like that guy did for you. It's one of those things. It's just sometimes just bad things happen,
Yeah, I mean, if there's, I've had 2 really close brushes with death, right? And like, there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in seeing something that's not good and trying to address it and deal with it. I don't care if it's, mental health or elevated liver enzymes. I don't care what it is. There's no shame in getting help and trying to, I think if I had a message to people, it would be it. That's what it would be. It'd be like, look, if something's off, if something's wrong, man, just find some way to deal with it. Ask for help, because there are always people that want to help. You just don't know it. But I was very blessed. I was very blessed. I had a lot of people reach out to me, and I got home and it took me 2 weeks to get through my messages. I think I had 2,000 to 3,000. I think I had 2,000 to 3,000 messages.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Wow. Well, John, I think I was just thinking then, can we get you back on part 2 in season 3? Because I've covered about 30% of what I want to cover in this interview. So I'm thinking, that's that topic. I was like, should I save that one or should I talk about it now?
I'm holding back.
Me too. I'm
holding back.
John, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just thinking, I really want to, because when someone's really good and because I haven't even talked about your career, because I'll talk quickly about, first time I saw you and you really came on my radar, it was at the 2016 Dallas Europa.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw you backstage and I just remember you were doing towel pulls. I forget who it was with. And I remember thinking, because you look great on stage, but when up close, like they said, people always just say about Dorian, they said photos never did Dorian Yates justice. You had to see him in the flesh, up close or on stage to really. And I remember just looking and that granite, because I was obviously that's why he probably called your name, your supplements, Granite Supplements, but it was just I was just like, yeah, this guy's really, really good. I mean, so let's talk about your career the next time. Let's talk about predictions for the Olympia. Let's talk about your YouTube channel, your supplement company. But let's do this, because I feel like I'm just getting warmed up now, and I don't want to go on for like 3 hours and make a 6-hour episode, because it'll be too much for people. I won't be able to upload it. So, John, this is really good. I knew you'd be good. So, well, it's good.
Sounds good to me. I'm happy to join.
It's good to know that because I mean, like I said, that was a horrible week that week, with Luke and then you, and it was just like in the pandemic. It was just an awful, awful week. It was just like, how much more bad news can the industry, can we all take, So it's good to see that, you made it back and you're back training hard and you're feeling great. And it's just because you're one of the good guys, John. You're very well respected. You're very well loved all around the world. That's just evidence. I mean, 2,000 messages. I mean, God, that's incredible. That shows just how much people think of you, John.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I've been around a long time, and I've tried to surround myself with really good people, and I've tried to treat people the way I'd want to be treated. But I'll stand up for what I believe in too. If I got to put my nuts out there on the line for something I believe in, I'll do it. I'm not afraid to take any heat either. So it's kind of my little code I live by, right? So I'm glad that people appreciate that. That's good. You set your own ethics and you stick by them. That's something to really respect. Well, thank you. Okay. All right then, John. Well, you're ending season 2, 20 episodes we've done now. We're going to take a week's break, and we'll definitely get you back for season 3. But thank you so much. And like I said, just so good to see you fighting fit again. And, we need you, mate. We need you. Industry needs you, John. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, John. Okay. Bye-bye.